Back in Baltimore, where it's a bit breezy today, wind out of the east-northeast at 12 miles per hour. Joe Flacco has a 13-1 record in September home games, which was news to Joe Flacco. For more on that, we welcome in the fourth member of our team, Dana Jacobson.
Yeah, Joe actually laughed when I asked him about it. Said that he found out from a bottom line crawl. The number he cares about, three straight losses to this Cincinnati Bengals team, a team he was emphatic about saying he does not like. In fact, he dislikes them more than the Steelers. Reason is simple. They don't play well against them, and he doesn't think they should lose to them. He can start rewriting that script right now, guys.
Dana, he told us Friday we shouldn't be losing to them. We need to play our game. It's a big one for the Ravens. Since 1990, only 3 teams who started 0-3 have gone on to make the playoffs. The last team to do it, the 1998 Buffalo Bills, when Joe Flacco was in 8th grade. The Ravens win the toss. They will receive, and they will start at the 20 after the touchback by Mike Nugent. And here comes Joe Flacco, who last week threw for 384 yards against the Raiders, the 3rd most of his career.
And the pressure squarely is on Joe Flacco, especially early. He made the comment, as we said in the open, that he believes this Bengals team is not as good from behind. Let's see how they start this game out.
The Ravens shift on the line. Forsett starts at running back. Flacco will look to throw to Kyle Juszczyk out of the backfield, and he's tripped up at the 27-yard line by Adam Jones. Let's take a look at the Baltimore starting offense, and for the 2nd straight game, James Hurst starts at left tackle. Eugene Monroe still out with a concussion, and Steve Smith Sr. now in his 15th year, coming off a 150-yard performance last week. Forsett on 2nd down, and he picks up the first. Cincinnati defensively, Carlos Dunlap leads the team with 2.5 sacks to start the season. Vinny Ray made that big interception to seal the win against the Chargers last week. And in the secondary, he just made that previous tackle on 1st down. Adam Jones now in his 9th year. 1st and 10, Flacco, pump fakes, gets rid of it, it's batted up in the air and incomplete. Domata Peko got his big hand on that one. It's 2nd down.
When we were talking to Joe Flacco, he was adamant that they needed to get off to a fast start, and you got to think that he's exactly right. This Bengals team, you don't know if they don't play well from behind because they're never behind. They haven't trailed at any point this season. This is a team that Joe Flacco knows well. Both these clubs know each other, and Flacco was adamant. They've got to get on the board early.
And Forsett is stuffed. Geno Atkins, who's been off to an incredible start this year, makes the tackle.
Yeah, the Bengals, when we talked to them, in fact, we talked yesterday to Carlos Dunlap, just raving about the level of play that Geno Atkins has brought to the table this year. He's playing at a Pro Bowl level, making a difference right there. It showed itself, and now, right away, Baltimore looking at 3rd and long.
And just 25% on 3rd downs this year. That's 29th in the NFL. Flacco over the middle to Marlon Brown, and Adam Jones with a big stick short of the 1st down marker.
Well, this is something that Marvin Lewis talks about, and it shows up over time. All these players, and Steve, you alluded to it in the open, have been in this system for at least 4 or 5 years. And they know their responsibilities. They trust each other so much. That was a great example right there. Just playing disciplined defense, giving up the short throw, making the tackle.
Brandon Tate back deep to receive the punt from Sam Cook. Fields it at the 17. Tate across the 30 and wrestled down at the 32-yard line by Brendan Trawick. Cincinnati football when we come back. Never miss a moment of football action with the CBS Sports app. Every play, every story, and every highlight right as they happen. Download the CBS Sports app now. The crowd's going crazy here in Baltimore because Jonathan Ogden was just shown on the big scoreboard. And now we'll see what the Baltimore offense can do against Andy Dalton and the Bengals. On 1st down, it's Jeremy Hill on the carry for Cincinnati. What a start for Andy Dalton this year. In his 5th year out of TCU, his completion percentage 68% through the first 2 games, 5 touchdown passes. No interceptions for Dalton. He has not been sacked either. The only quarterback in the NFL without an interception and a sack. Hill only got one on first. It's 2nd and 9. Back to Hill. And he is chased down by Lawrence Guy, who's starting today for the injured Chris Canty. He's inactive. A look at the Bengals starting offensive line. Andrew Whitworth yesterday agreed to a 1-year extension through next season. And Tyler Eifert with 3 touchdowns in the first 2 games for Cincinnati.
And Cincinnati's very happy to have Eifert back in the lineup. He was a big, big void in their offensive attack last year, and he has really added something to Andy Dalton's arsenal.
3rd and 6. Dalton looking deep down the sideline for Jones. Comes back and makes the catch. Great adjustment by Marvin Jones for a gain of 32.
Just a double move on the outside. You're going to see the pump fake by Andy Dalton. The safety just does not get over the top. And you'll see right in the middle of the field of the Ravens symbol there, the safety does not get over the top to make the play. And actually the corner spun around as well. A great job by Andy Dalton and the receiver on the double move.
It's a Baltimore defense that allowed 448 yards last week to Oakland. Defensive coordinator Dean Pease said it was hard to watch the tape of that one. On 1st and 10, Dalton, and he overthrows Mohamed Sanu. It'll be 2nd down.
Yeah, Dalton missed that throw and it went right down the seam, and it just tossed it right over everybody. Had his man open, and that's one of the things Dalton has got to do a better job of. And let's face it, as long as this happens, there's a penalty. That's a 5-yard penalty, illegal contact down the field. It's going to be 1st and 10 on the 26 now. But Andy Dalton is really the guy who everything is focused on for this Cincinnati team, because he has taken so much heat over their playoff failures.
There's Jake Fisher, who caught a pass last week for the Bengals. The rookie offensive lineman split out wide. And they give it to Hill inside. And he's wrapped up at the 24-yard line. And we'd like to welcome those of you who are watching Pittsburgh and St. Louis. We welcome you to Baltimore, where the Ravens got the ball first, had to punt, and now Cincinnati driving with 10:30 to go in the first quarter on 2nd and 8. Hill up the middle across the 20 into the red zone. Cincinnati already with 10 red zone possessions this year. That's the most in the NFL. This is number 11.
And that's a great example of why Cincinnati has had so much success offensively this year. Their front line is dominant. They've been together a lot of years. They're averaging over 7 yards on 1st and 2nd down. They're getting themselves these 3rd and shorts all the time.
This is 3rd and 2. On the ground again with Hill, and he's got the first down. Jeremy Hill fumbled twice last week against the Chargers. He sat on the bench for the last 22 minutes, and that was a tough pill for him to take. But Marvin Lewis said it's not an issue with Hill because he doesn't have a weak personality. He said that fumbles are an issue for guys with weak personalities. That's not Jeremy Hill, and they've trusted him already on this first drive with 5 carries.
Well, you see those guys right there. It's that offensive line that has keyed all the success for Cincinnati. Dalton, Hill, Bernard, all have benefited from those guys up front.
Dalton looking end zone for A.J. Green. There's a flag down. Green was out of bounds. It's incomplete. We'll see what Walt Anderson, today's referee, has. And again, for those expecting Pittsburgh and St. Louis, we'll get you there just as quickly as possible.
Prior to the pass, illegal hands to the face, number 38, defense. 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
That's the 2nd penalty on this drive. Melvin, the cornerback, on the nickel package, got called. And that's, you talk about the little things that pile up to lead to 0-2, and that's what's happened to the Ravens. It's not so much that they played poorly, but it's been small, little crucial things at different times that have allowed them to keep their opponent on the field offensively or get off the field defensively.
Again, as soon as Pittsburgh-St. Louis begins, we will take you there. Right now, it's 1st and 10 for Cincinnati from the 11. The give to Hill. A flag is down in the secondary. Hill across the 10. And maybe a gain of 2 on the play. Lawrence Guy makes the tackle, but another flag down.
Illegal formation offense. Number 74, who had reported as eligible, was covered by another eligible receiver, number 18. That's a 5-yard penalty. First down.
That's Jake Fisher, who they like to use. He's the draft pick out of Oregon. Caught a 31-yard pass last week.
Yeah, he's a very talented offensive lineman. Marvin Lewis said they're not afraid to try and create ways to get the ball to him in the passing game. But when you get cute like that, you got to make sure everybody's on the same page. They got burned by it right there.
That backs up the Bengals 5 yards. Dalton, quick pass to Green, off his hands, and incomplete. Nearly intercepted by Courtney Upshaw. He had it in his hands.
Yeah, those are the kind of opportunities you've got to take advantage of. This ball's going to pop right off the helmet of A.J. Green, right up in the air. And watch Courtney Upshaw. It drops right on his helmet, and he can't grab it either. You've got to be aware. That's why defenders spend so much time on tip drills. But this was going to be a quick bubble screen to A.J. Green to try and make the athletic guy get loose, break a tackle, and maybe get some positive yardage.
Upshaw in his 4th year has never had an interception. Had a golden opportunity there.
He'll never have a better chance than that one right there.
2nd and 15. 8:50 to go in the first quarter. And movement and a flag.
Delay of game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 2nd down.
That one goes against the Bengals. And again, just as soon as Pittsburgh and St. Louis begins, we will take you there.
Yeah, on this direct down now, 2nd and 20, really what they're trying to do right here, Cincinnati, they're going to try and at least get half of this yardage back. Right now, Marvin Lewis is thinking a little bit, let's not do anything crazy and lose field goal position. Let's keep the ball, maybe get half of it, take one shot at the end zone on 3rd down, and then make sure we get the field goal. But right now, they just want to get part of this yardage back to give themselves a chance to hit the end zone next play.
Dalton pump fakes over the middle, incomplete, and another flag comes in. Kendrick Lewis made a diving attempt at an interception. 5th flag of the drive. Walt Anderson busy.
Pass interference, number 33, defense. First down at the spot of the foul.
That goes against Will Hill, who last week against the Raiders thought he had the game-sealing interception, but was called for holding, and then Oakland went on to punch in the go-ahead touchdown.
Well, Tyler Eifert kind of took a dive right there and kind of embellished what was going on.
So that gives Cincinnati a first down. Big penalty against the Ravens. Hill up the middle again across the 10 to the 9-yard line.
And that's a huge, huge penalty. That you can't state strongly enough how significant that is. You know, they were looking at 2nd and 20, and Steve, you were saying they were hoping to get half of it back to have a chance at the end zone. Andy Dalton threw the ball. It could have been intercepted, but instead they got first down now from the 12-yard line. Now looking at 2nd and 8. Totally different situation.
Cincinnati has been given 3 first downs because of Baltimore penalties already in this opening quarter. It's Hill trying to get around the edge to the left side, and a big tackle by C.J. Mosley, the 2nd-year man out of Alabama. It's 3rd down.
Yeah, you're not going to outrun C.J. Mosley to the sideline, and no matter how good your running game is, if Mosley's not blocked, he's going to get there. And you see as Hill tries to get there, Mosley's just going to mirror him. That's why the NFL is the NFL. Linebackers do run as fast as running backs. That's a great job by Mosley.
As soon as Pittsburgh and St. Louis starts, we will take you there. But right now, it's 3rd down and 5 for Cincinnati. 7.5 to go in the first quarter. Dalton steps up, gets away, goes for the end zone, and he is in. Touchdown, Andy Dalton.
That was a fantastic read and great job by Andy Dalton. He decided quick, he was decisive, and when the defense backed up in man coverage, he just turned and took it.
And if you want to win your teammates over as a quarterback, this is how you do it right here. No indecision. He makes a move, and he takes his ball into the end zone like he means it. He wants to do it. He wants to get to that goal line. Your teammates see that and say, man, this guy came to play today.
Andy Dalton just put a move on C.J. Mosley, who, as we just said, he's one of the best inside linebackers in the league. He'll be talking some smack in film tomorrow when he sees Mosley miss the tackle on him.
Yeah, Mosley's going to lose a little sleep about that one.
12th rushing touchdown of Andy Dalton's career, the first this season, and the extra point by Mike Nugent is good. What a start for the Bengals. An impressive 10-play drive, and they lead it 7-0. Back in Baltimore, the Bengals have jumped out to a 7-0 lead, a 10-play drive. On that drive, Cincinnati was 3 for 3 on third downs, plus they got 3 first downs from penalties. So a good start for Cincinnati. And again, for those of you expecting to see Pittsburgh and St. Louis, we will take you there just as soon as that game begins in St. Louis. Well, Cincinnati has never trailed so far this season, and now Joe Flacco's team playing from behind. It's 7-0 with 7:20 to go in the first quarter. Michael Campanaro back deep to receive the kickoff from Nugent. And another touchback for Nugent. Second drive for the Ravens. When we come back, you're watching the NFL on CBS. Back in Baltimore, and the Bengals out to a 7-0 lead with Steve Berline, Steve Tasker, and Dana Jacobson. I'm Andrew Catalan, our entire NFL on CBS crew. Baltimore Ravens, the only active team never to be 0-3. Trying to avoid that today. And again, those expecting Pittsburgh, St. Louis will take you there just as soon as the game begins. On first down, the Bengals, or rather the Ravens, keep it on the ground with Javaris Allen, the rookie out of USC, his 11th carry of the year, a gain of 9. Joe Flacco in his 8th year out of Delaware, the Super Bowl MVP. What a run in the playoffs that year. 11 touchdowns, no interceptions. The Ravens' all-time leader in touchdown passes. And on second and short, Baltimore picks up the first down.
Yeah, we spoke earlier in this game and in the open how important Joe Flacco told us it was for them to get off to a fast start. It didn't happen. They ended up punting on their first drive, and Cincinnati methodically drove right down through the Baltimore into the field and finished off with a touchdown in a drive that was marked by a lot of penalties on both sides of the football.
Javaris Allen got that first down run. He goes to the bench, and Justin Forsett back in the game. It's a play action. Flacco with time. And a short hop pass to his tight end, Max Williams. It's incomplete.
That was really well defended in the secondary. Malaluga did a great job of dropping back, finding the crossing routes, stopping the middle route. The deep route was covered by the safety. Joe Flacco looked at both of them and had to settle for trying to get the ball out to the flat. There's just nothing there. This Cincinnati defense is so experienced in this system, they just don't leave anything uncovered.
On second and 10, Flacco gets rid of it. There's a flag down. The pass is caught by Crockett Gilmore, but the flag is back at the 30-yard line. A.J. Hawk makes the tackle. Pittsburgh, St. Louis expected to start shortly, and as soon as they do, those expecting that game will take you there. Walt Anderson, the referee, has been busy.
Illegal shift. 2 players moving and not both setting prior to the snap. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
You know, it is the little things that'll come back to haunt you in situations like this. You know, Steve, you were talking about the fast start, and that's what John Harbaugh was obviously hoping for as well. We're only in the second drive, but you look at second and 15s all day long. It's going to be tough. Look at the numbers right now. Baltimore already 4 penalties.
They had 10 last week in the loss to Oakland. So it's second and 15. Quick pass to Steve Smith Sr. And and he gets out of bounds at the 32-yard line. That's what they like to do, Baltimore. They want to get Steve Smith involved early. He's got so much emotion. They get him in the flow. Their offense seems to feed off that.
He is such a unique personality, and he's such an intense competitor. They all understand him better now in the second year. They understand how important it is to get him involved and set the tempo for him, which also ends up in turn setting the tempo for this team. He's a guy they have to get involved early. Right there's a great example.
First catch, it goes for 7 yards, which leaves the Ravens with 3rd down and 8. Flacco to Gilmore. Gilmore has the first down. Gilmore still going into Cincinnati territory. It's a gain of 19 for the second-year man out of Colorado State.
Well, in this divisional rivalry between these two teams, Crockett Gilmore is a relative newcomer, and you got to think the Bengals aren't sold on him yet. I mean, it's not like they're thinking of Crockett Gilmore like they think of Steve Smith Sr. or any of the other players are Forsett. I mean, this is a new guy. He's going to have to prove and hurt them before they start to treat him with some priority in their game plan.
Well, Ray Maluga we asked him directly what you think about this young guy. He said, no, it's Forsett, Flacco, and Steve Smith Sr. That's it.
Gilmore had a career-high 88 yards and 2 touchdowns last week. Campanaro all the way up to the 40-yard line.
And I think it's smart for the Ravens now, because of Steve Smith and because of Forsett, to start using guys like Gilmore and their Campanaro, start to spread the football around and force the Bengals to think about more guys than just Steve Smith Sr. and Forsett. They got to get the football all over the field and force this defense to keep itself spread as thin as possible.
Lorenzo Taliaferro listed as questionable with a foot bruise. He is active today, but he has not carried the ball yet. This is Forsett for the first down. It's been Forsett, Allen, and Campanaro with that 8-yard run.
Yeah, and it's a nice tempo for the Baltimore offense right here.
That's the key. They're going with the short huddle, and they're trying to get up to the line, get as many plays run as possible. Right here, they're still in a short huddle. They're trying to get up and get as many plays, try and get the rhythm that they want to establish set up early here.
8th play of the drive for the Ravens with 3:30 to go in the first quarter. It's Smith Sr. again, and he is wrestled down at the 35 by Maluga. Ray Maluga in his 7th year out of USC signed a new 3-year deal in March, and Steve Tasker mentioned this in our open, but what a job the Bengals have done drafting over the last several years. 38 of the 53 players on their roster were draft picks, including Maluga, a 2nd-round pick in 2009. Now, Johnson ran off because he thought that Baltimore is guilty of a false start.
Yeah, they shifted. We'll see what the...
False start, number 74, offense. 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
If the offensive lineman puts his hand on the ground and then picks it up, and you see there, and you'll see that, you know, James Hurst just lifts his hand up. It's right here. He's going to lift his hand up, and that's, you see there, that was not just a shift or a resettling after an audible. That was a mistake, and it cost him.
Hurst starting for the injured Eugene Monroe, still sidelined by a concussion. So it's 2nd and 13. Flacco, and that pass is caught by Smith, and he's up to the 32-yard line. Adam Jones makes the tackle. Already the 3rd catch for Steve Smith Sr.
And what can you say about this guy? I mean, last week, 10 catches, 150 yards. Only the 4th person in the history of the NFL at 36 or older to go over 150 yards in a game. Continues to amaze the level that he plays at.
And a few words with Adam Jones. Afterwards, those two guys could have a fun little matchup today. Marvin Lewis said he won't roll his corners, meaning it could be Kirkpatrick on Smith as well. But when they're matched up, look out. Flacco deep, and it's broken up. That was Kirkpatrick breaking up the pass intended for Aiken.
Now there's a flag down inside. There's a little bit of a scuffle right at the line of scrimmage.
Now, Wallace Gilberry being restrained, these two teams, they both told us they do not like each other.
Well, and Baltimore is absolutely desperate. Make no mistake about it. They cannot give an inch today and hope to win this game. And Cincinnati, they want to put them away. They could absolutely ruin Baltimore's season if they can beat them. And if they beat them soundly, they might break their heart too. I mean, that is something that is huge in the NFL, to give a team a hole they can't dig out of.
Result of the play was an incomplete pass. After the play, there were dead ball fouls by both teams. Personal foul and necessary roughness number 72. Personal foul and necessary roughness 96, defense. Those fouls will all set. It's 4th down.
So it's Osemele for the Ravens, Dunlap for the Bengals.
And I thought, excuse me, Andrew, I thought Kirkpatrick was going to pull this pass in at the other end of this.
So it brings up 4th and 5, and John Harbaugh sends out his kicker, Justin Tucker, for a 50-yard field goal attempt. Tucker is the most accurate kicker in NFL history at 90%. And he's 15 of 21 in his career from 50 yards or longer. Showed you the wind conditions earlier. Bit breezy today out of the east-northeast at 12 miles per hour. Tucker from 50. Drifting right, and it's no good. A rare miss for Justin Tucker, his first this season that has been off the mark. He has been so reliable for the Ravens, but off the mark from 50, and it's still 7-0. The Ray Lewis statue outside the gates here in Baltimore, and the Ravens trail 7-0. Bernard with the first down carry to the 45-yard line.
Yeah, that over 5 yards on first down is huge.
Your weekend starts with Thursday Night Football, and Joe Flacco and the Ravens travel to Pittsburgh to tough it out with Big Ben and the Steelers. That's on CBS and NFL Network. On second down, Bernard into Baltimore territory. Good for a Cincinnati first down. Bernard and Hill, the second most dynamic duo in the league through 2 weeks. Only the Redskins with Alfred Morris and Matt Jones have run for more yards than Bernard and Hill.
It's attitude on those first 2 plays of this drive. Just straight at this Ravens defense that prides itself on being tough against the run up the middle.
Dalton screen to Eifert. Has a little bit of room at the 40. A first down. Eifert still going. A flag is down back at the 46-yard line. But a gain of 18 for Eifert if it stands.
Illegal. I think it's going to be an offensive lineman downfield.
Ineligible player downfield prior to the pass. Number 61 offense. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Marvin Lewis, not a fan of that one.
Well, here's Tyler Eifert right here. He's going to pull back for the screen pass, but the center is the one who the downfield was called. You see this play takes time. Andy Dalton's going to fake to his left and then throw it to his right. And you see right there, you can see that Bodine was definitely about 3 or 4 yards down the field. A step, probably a step or two too soon for the experienced center.
15 seconds to go in the first quarter. Cincinnati keeps it on the ground, and that should be the final play of the first quarter after the run by Bernard. Gained a couple. That's the end of the first quarter here in Baltimore. Ravens trying to avoid an 0-3 start. They trail 7-0. Start of the second quarter here in Baltimore, and Cincinnati has a 7-0 lead with Steve Berline, Steve Tasker, and Dana Jacobson. I'm Andrew Catalan, our entire NFL on CBS crew, and the quarter begins with Cincinnati facing a 2nd and 14. There were 8 penalties called in that first quarter. Dalton, play action, flushed out, and he is sacked. Brought down by Will Hill, and that's the first sack of Hill's career.
And the first sack of the season for Andy Dalton.
And it's tough when you're running a play action pass on 2nd and 15. That's not going to fool many defensive players. The blitz was timed perfectly by Will Hill, and Andy Dalton did not have much of a chance there.
Well, with Terrell Suggs out of the game or off the lineup for the Ravens, they're going to have to bring, or at least the Bengals have expected them to bring more people to get the same amount of pressure they had with Suggs. Suggs was a force, and the Ravens are going to need more people or somebody to rise up to equal his production.
Third down and 22. Upshaw coming, and the pass is incomplete. Upshaw came free on Andy Dalton, and the Bengals quarterback had to get rid of it. It's fourth down.
Well, this is right here. He's just going to come inside and get to the quarterback, and it's not really that tough a stunt. It's an easy stunt that the offensive line of Cincinnati absolutely just blows, and you can see there, Clint Bowling, the guard, he says, hey, wait a minute, I got grabbed and pulled, and that's exactly what happened. Great stunt by Baltimore, and they got away with one.
First punt today for Kevin Huber of the Bengals. Campanaro awaiting it and calls for a fair catch, driving them back to the 7-yard line. Baltimore will be backed up to start this next drive. They trail 7-0. 14:07 to go, first half. And the Ravens trail 7-0. Flacco play action. Wide open is Gilmore. A lot of room to run at the 20. Gilmore is finally wrestled down by Dunlap. Crockett Gilmore with that big game last week. Career high 5 catches for 88 yards and 2 touchdowns, picking up right where he left off.
That was a nice little grab, a good adjustment to the ball there. Ball thrown behind him from Joe Flacco. But Crockett Gilmore, you see, he gets that big paw on it from behind, keeps the stride going, and a nice gain on first down for the Ravens.
It goes for 16 yards and a 1st and 10. It's Forsett. And he is met at the line and not much doing that time for Justin Forsett.
You talk about
Thompson with the tackle.
Yeah, you talk about Crockett Gilmore and how he's kind of emerged this season. He did a lot of work in the offseason, as you see those numbers. That's an excellent season, a start to the season for a guy who's on an 0-2 football team. He put on 25 pounds from last year, went from 250 to 275 as a tight end, and that's an enormous physical matchup.
And he did it by cutting out bad foods like pizza. He's eating a lot healthier this day. That pass is incomplete. Interestingly, on Gilmore, he's spent his offseason going to an offensive lineman camp, or Charles Bentley's camp in Arizona. He got turned onto it by his former teammate at Colorado State, Weston Richburg. You don't often see a tight end go to an offensive line camp, but it taught him a lot. He used to open his hips a little more fluid in the way he blocks, and he really got a lot out of that offseason in Arizona.
And he's a great blocking tight end, but I guarantee he came out of there learning a little bit more about what it takes to be a great blocker up front.
3rd down and 10 for Baltimore. Flacco has all day, looking deep for Smith. Flag is down. Smith comes back. It's incomplete. It was Kirkpatrick on the coverage. And let's see what the flag is.
Prior to the pass, illegal contact, number 27, defense. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot, automatic first down.
It does go against Kirkpatrick. In his 4th year out of Alabama, he said he used to watch Steve Smith play when he was in middle school. Smith now 36 years old. Automatic first down for the Ravens with 12:45 to go. Another play action pass. Flacco fires. It's intercepted. Adam Jones with the pick. His first of the season. Now there is a flag down at the 21-yard line.
And this is going to be a hold. Joe Flacco heard the official. He's walking off dejected.
The ruling on the field is an interception by Cincinnati. Holding number 53, offense. That penalty is declined. First down.
Penalty on Jeremy Zutop. That's the 4th interception of the season by Flacco, and this just the 3rd game.
Very careless interception and throw by Joe Flacco. One thing, you look at the scouting report, I guarantee you on Adam Jones, you're going to find that this is a guy that is known to want to jump things and take chances right there. Fully committed to the underneath throw, and Joe Flacco threw it carelessly out there. That is a big-time mistake by Joe Flacco.
12th interception of Adam Jones's career. He turns 32 this Wednesday. So great field position for the Bengals. 1st and 10 with 12:37 to go in the first half. Dalton changing the play with 5 on the play clock. Dumerville was coming. Dalton got rid of it, and along the sideline, that pass is incomplete. Marvin Jones attempted to get his feet down. Dumerville was coming quickly for the Ravens.
Yeah, as you look at the pressure on Dalton, this is a Cincinnati team, as we said, is hitting on all cylinders. They're also getting some breaks, and things are working for them. They've got a league-high 5 drives that have started inside their opponent's territory. This would be their 6th.
Dalton, touch pass down the sideline, incomplete, and a late flag comes in. In fact, 3 flags come in, and I think that kind of sums up the first half with 3 flags on the field.
Dalton threw that ball before it even reached its apex. He started asking for the penalty. He had his arms in the air.
But you're going to see Rashaan Melvin was definitely guilty. He was tugging on the jersey.
Pass interference, number 38, defense. First down at the spot of the foul.
You're going to see right there, it's Marvin Jones, and you can see the contact right there. He's pulling him back, tugging him, not wanting to allow any separation. It's going to get called every time this day and age.
Second penalty against Rashaan Melvin, and now already 10 penalties in this game.
This is a team here in Baltimore who has said and really, lived by the adage, defense wins championships. But I don't know if you can play defense the way you used to play defense in the NFL. I don't know that that adage is going to hold true for very much longer in this league. It's hard to play defense in the back end when you can't touch those guys at all.
Dalton's pass deflected and incomplete. Well, Steve, to your point, though, I mean, teams have to make adjustments. If they're going to call it differently than they did in the past, everyone has to play by the same rules. Well, they got to adjust.
I asked John Harbaugh about it. He goes, we really don't care about that. If they just call it the same every week, it makes it much easier on the players, and I found that to be true. Consistency is the one thing that teams are having a hard time to adjust to, or actually inconsistency from crew to crew, week to week.
Dalton over the middle, caught, touchdown, Bengals. Marvin Jones, 2nd straight week with a touchdown for Jones. And there's an injured Raven at the goal line.
Well, that was a good throw.
That's Kendrick Lewis who's down. But Cincinnati has taken a 13-0 lead on Andy Dalton's 6th touchdown of the season.
Lewis is going to come in from the safety spot right there, and you see how he tried to put his shoulder in, and his head caught the body of Jones and got hit to the side pretty violently.
So the interception by Adam Jones leads to 6 points for now, with Mike Nugent coming out to attempt the extra point. But of course the concern is with the 6th-year man Kendrick Lewis out of Mississippi. 1st year with the Ravens, played last year with Houston. It's an area in that defensive secondary where Baltimore has struggled in the first 2 games. Also a little thin. Trey Walker, the rookie, is inactive today. Will Davis, who they acquired in a trade with Miami on Monday, also inactive today. And a good sign there with Lewis on his feet. Another surprise with Baltimore today is Jason Babin is inactive. And John Harbaugh told us on Thursday that he thought Babin had figured out this system, felt comfortable with Babin getting out there, who was signed after the Week 1 loss to Denver, yet Babin is still not in uniform today.
Babin being signed after the Terrell Suggs tore his Achilles as a replacement player who had some experience and they felt could pick up the system pretty quickly. Kendrick Lewis making his way off the field. Now, I don't think there's any question. This has got to be a point where you got to go through the protocol, although he's walking right past the bench, right down to the locker room.
So here's Nugent for the extra point. And with 12:18 to go in the first half, Cincinnati has taken a 14-0 lead. Joe Flacco with his 4th interception of the season, and it leads to 7 for Cincinnati. The Ravens celebrated Hispanic Heritage Month by hosting their annual Play 60 Youth Football Clinic for 150 Hispanic children. The event was held this past Monday at Coppermine Fieldhouse in downtown Baltimore. You can visit NFL.com/Hispanic Heritage for stories about Hispanic pride and culture from around the NFL. Andy Dalton now has 6 touchdown passes and still no interceptions. Also ran in a touchdown in the first quarter. A 3-play drive following the interception by Adam Jones. It all adds up to a 14-0 lead for Cincinnati, trying to go to 3-0 for the second straight year. Steve Berline, Steve Tasker, and Dana Jacobson. I'm Andrew Catalan. We thank you for joining us for Week 3 of the NFL on CBS. Michael Campanaro back deep for Baltimore, and Mike Nugent now in his 11th year to kick it away. And that is another touchback for Nugent. Big drive coming up for the Ravens when we come back. Week 3 of the NFL on CBS back in Baltimore. Field position has been a big theme early. The average starting position for Cincinnati, 48-yard line. Baltimore, their own 16. They start this one at the 20. And Justin Forsett on the carry as we check in with Dana Jacobson.
All right, guys, we saw on the Bengals touchdown drive there, safety Kendrick Lewis injured for Baltimore. He walked right into the locker room as part of concussion protocol for all the NFL teams out here. As soon as we have an update, we'll bring it to you.
Thank you, Dana. And right behind Dana's shoulder, you saw Lorenzo Taliaferro listed as questionable today with a foot bruise. He is active, but has yet to have a carry. He remains on the sideline here for 2nd down and 8. Flacco's pass caught by Gilmore at the 25-yard line, tackled immediately made by Maualuga. And that's big for Baltimore. Taliaferro, he had a big game last week with the touchdown run. He's a nice little compliment to Forsett. Right now, the extra carries have been going to Javaris Allen, who's on the sideline right next to Taliaferro right now for this 3rd and 3.
Well, every position in the league, you're going to need help. I mean, sometimes the backup quarterback has to come in and become a starter, but certainly on the defensive line and at your running backs and some of these positions, you need a rotation, and those running backs are one of those.
3rd and 3, and that pass is incomplete. It was thrown behind Steve Smith. A 3-and-out, and a few boo birds come out here in Baltimore.
Well, and rightfully so, I have to admit here, Andrew. You know, you look at what this Ravens team has done so far. 3 drives for Cincinnati, 2 touchdowns. Right there, that ball was thrown high and out of reach of Steve Smith. And the bottom line is the performance to this point has been unacceptable for a team with so much to play for like the Ravens do today.
They're 1 for 4 on 3rd downs, and remember, through the first 2 games, just 25%. It's a fake on the carry for Baltimore. It's Anthony Levine.
And he fumbled the ball.
And he lost the ball. That's a gutsy call by John Harbaugh. Remember, former special teams coach in Philadelphia.
Desperate times call for desperate measures. That's a perfect time to call it. They were not expecting it, although the Bengals rallied. And let's talk about that for a minute. No question, Baltimore Ravens are not looking as good as they are. As we have seen them look in the past. They struggled through the first 2 weeks, but they weren't out of those football games at all. But I'll tell you this. This Cincinnati Bengals team is the best team they have faced yet this season. The Bengals are good. There's no shame in losing to the Bengals, but I'll tell you what. They need this game. The Baltimore Ravens are absolutely desperate, and that play right there typifies it.
Yeah.
So they've said that Baltimore did not lose the football. So now we're going to come down to a measurement. As you see it again, Levine on the fake. Remember last week in Oakland, Harbaugh went for it on 4th down from his own 30-yard line, but he didn't call a fake. He kept the offense on the field, and how about that?
Marvin Lewis needs to challenge this. I do not think he got that. He's got to get to the 30-yard line. That was a play that the drive started on the 20, and they lost the ball there, and when he falls back on, oh, I see, that's it.
Gain possession.
But you can't advance a fumble on 4th down. Although
the player is allowed to recover the ball because the ball did not go out of bounds. It's dead at the spot of his recovery because he was a player that fumbled it. It's first down,
That's
Baltimore.
correct. That's exactly, you got it exactly right. Plus, it's not late in the game either, inside the 2 minutes. So Levine got very lucky with fumbling the football.
He's got to recover his own fumble, and it's where he regains possession of the fumble is where the ball is marked. So he's taken down short, loses control of the ball, then pulls it back in beyond the first down marker.
So it's the second straight week that backed up in their own end in the second quarter. John Harbaugh has rolled the dice on fourth down. Pays off for Harbaugh, and it's 1st and 10 for the Ravens.
Well, you can't take, well, that was a fantastic play by Cedric Pierman to make that tackle, get to the point of stopping that play.
Forsett up the middle to the 35-yard line.
Now the Ravens have got to take advantage of that play. I mean, they've gone to the bucket a couple of times. They've had a couple of trick formations. They've had a lot of penalties against them. Now they've run the fake punt as well. They've thrown the interception. I mean, they've got to be sparked by a reprieve on fourth down by their punt team, getting him the football back.
It's Javaris Allen on the carry. And that Cincinnati run defense not fool Domata Peko, the first one to get there. It's third down.
But we talked about it beforehand, Steve. The front of the Cincinnati Bengals, both sides of the ball is playing so physical. Right there, you see Domata Peko with the stop, but it was across the line. Very, very physical, very strong, holding that line and not giving anywhere to go.
There's Lorenzo Taliaferro into the game next to Flacco for this big third down and 4. Flacco to Steve Smith. Great catch by Smith Sr. And depending on the spot, that's right at the chain. Let's see if they give him a good spot.
Yeah, they're
moving the chains.
He got the first down. Watch as he pulls this off, as he gets out and turns up the field. Watch his right foot there just get across the line and get the first down.
Well, I'm here to tell you that Joe Flacco has thrown a few passes this year. He two interceptions against Denver, and the interception today, and that throw right there, to me, they stand out because he's kind of floating that ball out there in a dangerous fashion. That ball very easily could have gone the other way as well. We're used to seeing Joe Flacco rip that football all over the field. He's kind of been throwing off his back foot a little bit more this year.
Flacco. And that pass is caught by Nick Boyle, the first catch of his NFL career. And for the first time ever, it's a Delaware to Delaware connection. Flacco out of Delaware and Boyle, the rookie 5th-round pick out of Delaware.
Yeah, this play works because, as you just alluded to, he gets that ball out of there very fast, and Boyle does a great job of hurdling the defender to get the extra yardage. But the ball's got to come out quick against Cincinnati.
Forsett trying to keep those legs moving, tripped up at his 49-yard line. It'll be third down. A.J. Hawk on the tackle. What a hurdle there from Nick Boyle, Delaware's all-time leader for receptions among touchdowns.
And you can see how very difficult it is to make yards against this Cincinnati defense. Baltimore sticking to their game plan, trying to run right at them. They're not having a whole lot of success, but they've given themselves an opportunity, third and short here.
Taliaferro in the backfield again on 3rd and 2. Taliaferro with his first carry, and he is stuffed. First carry of the game, Taliaferro is thrown back, and that brings up fourth down. Peko and Dunlap leading the charge, and out comes the punter for Baltimore, Sam Cook.
Peko again, you'll see it. I mean, he's right there, and you can see they just can't move those guys out of there. It's like the Bengals have got 3 tree stumps, and the offensive line of the Ravens cannot push those guys out of the middle. Baltimore's trying to run inside the tackles, and they just cannot get it done.
Yeah, they've established control. Cincinnati has established control of that line of scrimmage, both sides of the ball.
This time they punt. And there's a flag down. There was some contact with the punter, Cook. Tate is taken down on the return by Darren Waller. Now let's see. It's only 4th and 3, so either way, it's going to be a first down.
No, this is going to be on Baltimore. There was a hold back here. They'll take it at the end of the punt.
The fans thought it, and as did I, thought it was running into the punter.
Prior to the kick, holding number 44, the kicking team. Cincinnati has elected to enforce the 10-yard penalty from the end of the run. First down, timeout.
So Cincinnati football when we come back. 7:35 to go in the second quarter. Bengals have the ball back. They lead it 14-0. Andy Dalton will start this 1st and 10 out of the shotgun. Quick pass to A.J. Green, caught at the 25. Jimmy Smith right there to make the tackle. Already 11 penalties in this game, the most in the first half in any game this season. We have seen a lot of Walt Anderson here today. Gain of 7 on first down. Ravens show blitz. Dalton gets rid of it to Sanu, puts the moves on for a first down, but there's, guess what? Another flag down at the 32-yard line.
They called it A.J. Green for holding. I don't know about that.
Yeah, I mean,
last weekend we've been talking about this, and with the penalties, I guess it's a good time to bring it up.
After the reception and during the run, holding number 18, offense.
Now you'll see that now there's a
Correction. Pass interference, number 18, offense. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot, still second down.
Well, for more on the penalty situation, a guy that's thrown a flag once or two in his career, Mike Carey, our officiating expert back in New York. Mike, we've seen a lot of flags today.
Yes, you know, last week we saw a lot of flags too. As a matter of fact, almost twice the average of the year prior. So, you know, what's happened is a lot of competitiveness. Everybody's trying to challenge the ball, challenge everything to see what they can get away with.
That's a good point. But last weekend he said, last weekend was the most penalized weekend in NFL history by a wide margin. There were 260 some odd penalties last week in the NFL.
over 600 more yards ever than ever before.
A historic weekend last weekend for the wrong reasons.
A.J. Green makes the catch at the 21-yard line. It'll be third down for Cincinnati. 6:15 to go, second quarter.
Yeah, league-wide, there were over 50 more penalties called than ever before on a weekend for over 600 yards more than ever before. That's more than just players getting more competitive.
Yeah.
That's referees having an itchy trigger finger, I think, on some of these penalty calls.
Well, I think it's hard to officiate some of the rules with the way they've got them now. So we'll see if they can get it together and start getting more consistent. But that's one of the issues.
Bengals are 3 for 4 on third downs today. It's 3rd and 9. 5 on the play clock. Dalton fires to A.J. Green on the sideline, and he makes that catch. That's a clutch catch by A.J. Green, a gain of 17.
Double covered as well. They've got a cushion because look at that. They got a trail guy and a top guy. They got him over and under, and Dalton still fits it in. That is unbelievable. Brooks and Smith were both on the coverage, and they couldn't get it done. You can't win if you're double teaming a guy and they still pick up a third down on him.
They came with pressure and the right defense called, and Cincinnati still got it.
Dalton, quick pass to Jones, who puts it, check it, Sanu, who put his head down. Mohamed Sanu not afraid of the contact there. Well, you saw Brooks on that last coverage, 31 for the Ravens. He's replaced the injured Kendrick Lewis, who we saw go out earlier, has not returned yet for the Ravens.
Well, his job on that play is to run underneath that route, but just perfect execution by the Bengals.
Dalton looking deep for Green. He's got separation and he's got the catch at the 25-yard line. Jimmy Smith, the corner, is looking for pass interference against Green, and he doesn't get the call.
Yeah,
Gain of 31.
Jimmy Smith had the coverage, and Green, they were both looking back for the ball. They're going to go to the sideline. Watch as they both turn to look at it. A.J. Smith Little bit of a push. No, that's a good no call. You're not going to get that call as a defender or as an offensive player, and that's the first good no call we've had all day.
Jimmy Smith took his eyes off of A.J. Green, just lost him.
Fourth catch today for A.J. Green with inside 4 minutes to go in the second quarter. Right back to A.J. Green down to the 11-yard line. Working on Jimmy Smith again.
Jimmy Smith is the best cornerback, rewarded with the big contract this offseason after the tough foot injury he had last year, but they are not shying away from him at all today.
And they continue to use some tempo. No huddle here for the Bengals. 1st and 10.
Yeah, this changing the play right here, this is something Andy Dalton has grown into, and he's doing a great job at it.
Dalton looking corner of the end zone for Sanu, and it's incomplete. C.J. Mosley came with the pressure, knocking Dalton to the ground.
Yeah, Steve Berline, you knew that. You played quarterback. How long does it take a guy to start to grow comfortable with changing protections, calling the play, changing the route, going to the guy he wants? That's a big step for a quarterback.
Well, number one, it helps to have time to throw right there. They got some good pressure on Dalton, but you're right, though, Steve, 100%. I believe it takes 3 to 5 years before a quarterback really reaches his peak as far as knowing what's going on.
Well, you can see it right here with Dalton.
Dalton, the option to Bernard, and he's run out of bounds at the 6-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and short for Cincinnati, 3:08 to go.
Yeah, with this red zone now on a 3rd down and 6, so it's not a goal-to-go situation, so they actually could get a 1st down, but the Bengals are in the driver's seat in this game. Make no mistake, they can do anything they want. The whole play, but they don't have to throw the football. They can run it. They can pick their spot. What I would do, pick a matchup and throw at it.
Tyler Eifert, tight end. Look out for him in this situation.
A timeout has been called by Cincinnati with 2:46 to go.
That's a good timeout.
First timeout of the half for the Bengals.
That's a really, really good timeout. You can't waste this opportunity. Get the perfect play. Doesn't mean you're going to score, but give yourself the best opportunity, because if you go up with 21 points at this point of the game with 2:46 left, it could spell curtains early here for the Ravens.
And with a 14-point lead, you can afford to be a little conservative if you're the Cincinnati Bengals right now. Try and catch them off guard, maybe with a shovel pass, or, and you can see Marvin Green running down there to Marvin Lewis, excuse me. Marvin Lewis running down there to get that timeout call.
But he's walking it off now. He ran down there. Now he's got to catch his breath.
But a shovel pass or a draw play, maybe a middle screen here would be something to think about. But I think the number one threat is Tyler Eifert.
I don't think you put the ball in the air at all.
Well, Andy
There's no reason. You got a field goal here. You're going to go up 17 points, 3 scores in the first half with 2 minutes to go. Do not take a chance. Although your defense is playing so well, you may feel confident enough to do it.
It's 3rd down and 5. Play clock expired, a delay of game. How does that happen out of a timeout?
Delay of game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
That's the second time Andy Dalton's been called. Now, it's tough on the road, no doubt about it, but a quarterback's first responsibility coming out of the huddle is to look at that play clock. You got to be aware of that, number one. And Andy Dalton in his 5th year, he's being told by the offensive lineman, hey, look at the clock, man, it's running down.
That's inexcusable out of a timeout. You can't have that happen. That's 2:46 to go, 3rd and 10.
That's the first false move they've made all day.
Dalton to Sanu at the 5, and Sanu is taken down at the 3, and that's going to be about a half-yard short of a 1st down.
Marvin Lewis is running down that sideline to get a chance to see exactly how far they've got to go. Now, they can get a 1st down, but it's going to be 4th and about 1.5, maybe 2 yards. It'll be interesting to see what Marvin wants to do, and he's going to let this clock run down to the 2-minute.
I think it's even less than that, Steve. It looks like it's barely a yard.
Is there a coach's box where these coaches are supposed to stay, by the way? I mean,
well, now he's strolling along with the side judge over there. It's like they're trying to decide where to have coffee. So he's looking at that. He wants to get a really good look at how far this is.
They'll have some time to mull it over. 2-minute warning in Baltimore. Marvin Lewis is going to go for it. You guys agree?
I do not agree. I think you got to take the 3, go up 3 scores. I like his confidence.
Jake Fisher is reported as eligible. Dalton to throw. Has time. Nobody to throw to now. Eifert makes the catch. Lost the football, but he was in first. Touchdown, Cincinnati.
I think this is going to be overturned. You got to complete the process of making the catch, even in the end zone.
Yeah, I agree.
You got to come down with possession.
You're going to have to review this. They'll do it. It's inside the 2-minute plus. It's a scoring play, so you're going to get it looked at. And I think you're right. From what I understand, that Eifert has to go all the way to the ground, roll over with the football, and he never has control of this football. He gets tangled up.
He's got to complete the whole catch, though, to the ground.
Right, he gets tangled up with Trawick.
That is no way.
There's no way that's a touchdown.
By the now, the question is, was he over the line playing? He's got to complete the process.
He's got to complete the process.
Bad decision by Marvin Lewis as well.
Walt Anderson has been under the hood talking to New York that entire commercial break. He's just coming out now. Again, the call on the field is a touchdown. And let's see what Walt Anderson has decided.
After reviewing the play, the receiver is going toward the ground, is still in the process of completing the catch. And even though the ball is extended beyond the goal line, it is knocked loose prior to him hitting the ground. The pass is incomplete.
So it's a turnover on downs. Baltimore gets the football back, and we go back to New York. Mike Carey, what are your thoughts on this?
Exactly the same. Here's a key point, though. When the contact by the defender comes prior to that second foot coming down, and that contact takes the receiver to the ground, he has to make sure he gets all those elements before he hits the ground and maintain control all the way through. That's true all the way across the field, inline to inline.
Very much like the Des Bryant play from last year that drew all that scrutiny. I think that's 100% correct. You've got to complete the process of making the catch, even in the end zone.
Yeah, now that both teams are out there ready to play and Walt Anderson's still over there, now the officials are just now leaving Marvin Lewis on the sidelines. But you know what? You're right, Steve. I thought we should take the points, go up 3 scores right before halftime. But let's face it, if you don't get in, you still got Joe Flacco backed up in his own end zone, and you got your defense is playing lights out.
And I understand the confidence that Marvin Lewis has in his team, and I guess you can say, okay, you can justify it, but I think it's the wrong decision in a big game like this. You go up 3 scores, make them score 3 times.
From the 3-yard line, Flacco to Steve Smith. Tackled at the 16-yard line by Reggie Nelson. And again, Baltimore has all 3 timeouts. Time is ticking, 1:35 to go. Coming up on Verizon Halftime Report, JB, Tony, Bart, Boomer, and Coach Cower have all the latest NFL scores and highlights, as well as a preview of Thursday Night Football on CBS and the NFL Network. That's all coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report.
Baltimore needs a chunk play right here, a big one.
Flacco over the middle of the 4 set, catches made at the 21, slips by 1, and wrapped up at the 24-yard line, a gain of 8.
And if I'm Marvin Lewis, you start thinking about timeout situations here too. If you want to maybe think about getting the ball back for your offense.
Inside, 1 minute to go. Flacco just throws this one away.
Yeah,
Marlon Brown in the area, but it'll be 3rd down and 2.
You're not going to take a timeout if you're Marvin Lewis if they get 9 yards or 8 yards on first down.
Right.
They got 2nd and short, and now it's 3rd. Maybe you take one after 3rd if it's an incompletion with 51 seconds, and if there's over 40 seconds, you might get the chance to get the ball back.
If it's an incompletion, you don't need to take a timeout, but if they stop them short, then they have to take a timeout.
Right.
But Baltimore's going to throw the ball here, so.
On 3rd and 2. Flacco to Max Williams for a first down, but there is a flag down.
This is going to be a hold on the offensive line of the Ravens.
2 flags down. There's also one on the 40-yard line in the secondary.
Wow, this has been one of those halves. I mean, these guys are getting paid. They're getting paid by the flag today.
Their arms are getting sore.
There are fouls by both teams. holding number 96 defense, holding number 89 offense. Those fouls all set. Third down.
Well, we saw earlier that the defensive line of the Bengals was trying to rush the passer, and you'll see as Carlos Dunlap will grab an offensive lineman and pull him towards him out of the way while one of his teammates loops up inside. They got a sack that way and good pressure one time, and the officials were obviously being told that they were doing it, and they caught it.
So it's 3rd down and 2 again. Flacco, pressure coming, incomplete. Leon Hall came on a blitz. He was untouched, and Flacco had to get rid of it. It's 4th and 2, and the incompletion stops the clock. So Cincinnati doesn't have to use a timeout. They still have 2 remaining.
Well, Mark Trestman, the offensive coordinator, I think, for Baltimore, has really got to do work some magic in that locker room in the second half, because Cincinnati's beating them to the punch on everything right now.
Third punt for Sam Cook. And that was partially deflected. Adam Jones comes up to make the catch at the 42. So good field position here for the Bengals. 33 seconds to go, and they have 2 timeouts remaining. So here we go. Cincinnati, 2 timeouts remaining. They lead it 14-0. And remember, they do get the ball to start the second half as well.
Yeah, expect Cincinnati to be very aggressive in this situation. They've got good field position. All they need to do is get more than 20 yards and they're in field goal range.
Giovanni Bernard next to Dalton. And Dalton flicks it to Bernard up to the 48-yard line. And Marvin Lewis not calling a timeout.
No, you want to get a first down here and spike it next. You don't take a timeout right here.
Should have had 2 plays called in the huddle. That's what should have happened immediately.
Taking a long time, 14 seconds to go. Dalton chased out and chucks this one up and out of bounds. Only 6 seconds remain. Guys, when you throw it to the middle of the field like Dalton did there, I think you have to use your timeout.
I think you're right. And especially it looked like they did not have a second play called. If they could have got up to that line quickly and had the second play called, you could justify it. But it took a lot of time.
The problem was it wasn't they didn't have, the play can be called while they're running back to the field. The problem is he had one left formation, then he had the guys run all the way to the right formation.
There wasn't 2 calls.
Yeah. This time, I think you got to go deep and see if you can get a quick completion and then call a quick timeout.
Well, now they call timeout. Yeah.
Well, that's okay.
Because they were going to go into the locker room with one anyway for not using it after that pass. 6 seconds remain. Third and 2, only 1 timeout remaining for Cincinnati. It won't matter. They'll just run the ball here. And that'll do it. So Marvin Lewis goes into the locker room with a timeout in his pocket, but he also goes in with a 14-0 lead, and his team will receive the second half kickoff. Andy Dalton, 1 touchdown rushing, 1 touchdown passing. That went to Marvin Jones. And a few more Boo Birds here in Baltimore, with the Ravens already 0-2 to start the season, and now in a 14-0 hole as we go down to Dana Jacobson.
Coach, I'm going to take you back to that decision to go for it instead of taking the field goal. Why?
Well, I thought we had good opportunity to get 6 points there and another 7, so, it backfired on me.
Thanks, Coach. Guys, back to you.
All right, Dana, that is the end of the first half with the score, Cincinnati 14, Baltimore nothing. We'll be back with the Verizon halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 50. Start of the third quarter in Baltimore. Cincinnati has a 14-0 lead on the Ravens. Let's take a look at the DirecTV Ultimate Picture Cam. Andy Dalton, 1 touchdown running, And the other one passing to Marvin Jones. All adds up to a 14-0 lead. Back in the booth with Steve Berline and Steve Tasker. I'm Andrew Catalon. You heard Marvin Lewis tell Dana Jacobson the move backfired down by the goal line to go for it. Came away with no points. We'll see if that proves to be big at the end of the game. Meanwhile, from the Baltimore perspective, guys, what adjustments do the Ravens have to make?
Well, I guarantee you, John Harbaugh is happy that Marvin Lewis went for it because it kept it to a 2-score game. Baltimore's got to keep trying to come out and make yards on first and second down, running the ball or doing little passes to the flats, inside, outside, whatever. But then you got to convert on third down by not trying to go right at this defense. You got to spread the ball around.
Cincinnati will receive the second half kickoff from Justin Tucker, who missed a field goal in that first half. Adam Jones out of his own end zone and tripped up. He had some daylight up the middle, and now a little extracurricular activity on the field.
Yeah, and I think for the Cincinnati Bengals, they've just got to stay balanced offensively, run and pass. And on defense, it starts with Joe Flacco. They're playing a desperate Baltimore Raven offense, and that starts with Joe Flacco throwing the football all over. If he's pressured, they're going to be ineffective.
Adam Jones is still down after returning that kickoff for Cincinnati. And now he is walking off the field. He'll have some time to catch his breath, assuming he's okay before the Cincinnati defense comes out. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Bengals from their own 29-yard line. Cincinnati trying to go to 3-0 for the second straight year.
This Ravens defense has got to step up right now, though. Their adjustment is to stop, force a 3-and-out, or get the ball back quickly for their offense right now.
Bengals start this half on the ground with Jeremy Hill, and look who made the tackle, Kendrick Lewis, a good sign. Remember, he had to go through the concussion protocol in the first half, cleared to come back, and he makes the tackle to start the second half.
That's always a good sign because, you know, this day and age, they're always overly cautious with that situation, so he must have been clearly okay to keep going.
Jeremy Hill on the pitch, nowhere to go. Brandon Williams comes up to make the tackle, the big third-year man out of Missouri Southern State.
As we take a look back at that first half, you can see the Ravens just kind of trailing in every category. The turnovers really hurt them. The first downs, they had trouble staying on the football field. Bengals were helped out by the number of penalties. It seems like the Raven penalties came at ill-opportune moments. Even though the numbers say they're even, the timing of the Raven penalties was crucial in the success of the Bengals.
Cincinnati 5 for 7 on third downs in the first half. It's 3rd and 10 with the crowd making some noise here in Baltimore. Dalton looks right, throws right, caught by Marvin Jones right at the stick. Pushed out by Kyle Arrington, but with the spot, that is a first down for Cincinnati.
That's inexcusable for Baltimore. They got him backed up in the 3rd and long. You got to challenge these throws. Right there you saw that there's just not enough pressure from Kyle Arrington on that throw and catch. Marvin Jones is a good receiver, but you got to challenge him in that situation.
Yeah, you got to know where the sticks are. He turned his hips about 3 yards past the sticks, and you got to know that that's exactly where the Bengals are going to throw it. Don't turn your hips so quick as a defensive back. Squat on that route and make sure that they won't complete an easy one.
Dalton, pump fake, now in trouble, and he's tripped up.
Well, that play was a little bit predictable because they had such hard time on 1st and 2nd down just a moment ago. You'd think they came back with a pump, fake, and go route on 1st down, the second first down of this drive, trying to pop one free, and the pressure got to Dalton. He tried to step through it, couldn't get loose, but they knew that the Ravens were going to come with some pressure and tried to take advantage of it and couldn't get it done.
Now the Bengals send Andrew Whitworth out wide to the top of your screen, the starting left tackle. They'll run it with Hill, and Brandon Williams again. 6'1", 335 pounds, filling the shoes of the departed Haloti Ngata. Williams said that Ngata taught him so much in their time together, and he makes a big play here.
Yeah, that was Bodine just getting beat off the ball by Brandon Williams right there. And it doesn't make sense to me to spread out one of your best offensive linemen and then try and run the ball up inside. The logic behind that's kind of baffling to me.
A loss of 4 on the play. 3rd down and 13. Dalton looking deep for A.J. Green. He's got it at the 28. Inside the 20 for A.J. Green, a gain of 44.
Oh, they had 2 deep coverage. It was a zone coverage, and Jimmy Smith fell off. You'll watch right here. He's got man with 2 safeties over the top, and he got a trailer, and the safety can't get there.
What an incredible adjustment by A.J. Green, though.
Oh, yeah. Will Hill was just late getting there. A.J. Green had not only time to find the football in the air, but adjust his route and run underneath it. Will Hill has got to get there faster than that.
A.J. Green over 100 yards receiving, 6 catches for $120. Back to Jeremy Hill. Let's go back and look at that big play to A.J. Green and the adjustment he made on this ball.
Here's Will Hill back here, and here is our guy, A.J. Green, in the spotlight. He's going to come out and run this, just run out, and then he has plenty of time to find this ball in the air. The ball's in the air now. He looks out his left outside shoulder, then turns around to his inside shoulder, and he's all by himself. Will Hill, it's as though he was guarding someone else on that play.
On 2nd and 8, Dalton fires to Eifert, incomplete. Broken up by Kendrick Lewis, and it's 3rd down.
That was a great job by Kendrick Lewis on the big tight end, Tyler Eifert, who they want in that matchup. They want him going against his safety one-on-one, and Tyler Eifert's got to make that play, no doubt about it.
Yeah, that would have been it was a good catch, not a fantastic catch. You got to expect him to get it. He had both hands up. Ball was coming in on him right where he needed it, up in his vision.
3rd and 8. Already on this drive, Cincinnati has picked up 3rd and 10 and 3rd and 14. Let's see if they can convert another 3rd and long. Mosley runs off sides. C.J. Mosley jumped the gun.
You just can't do that.
Offside, number 57, defense, unabated to the quarterback. 5-yard penalty.
You just
Still 3rd down.
You just cannot do this. I mean, here's Mosley right here. He's just going to shoot right up the gut, and he gets overly excited. There's no excuse. 3rd and 3 versus 3rd and 8 is a whole different ball game. Baltimore used to thrive, always has been known as a defense that thrives on 3rd and longs. They've been getting torched here today.
8th penalty against Harbaugh's Ravens. 9th play of the drive. 3rd and 3 for Cincinnati. Dalton looking end zone, and it's intercepted. Jimmy Smith comes up with a big play for Baltimore. First interception this season thrown by Andy Dalton, and a big play for Jimmy Smith and the Ravens. Jimmy Smith told us on Friday this is a must-win game for the Ravens, and he makes a big play for Baltimore with that interception, giving Joe Flacco on the offense the ball back at the 20. On the run, it's Justin Forsett, but let's go back to the interception, the first of the year by Dalton.
Well, here's Jimmy Smith and A.J. Green at the top of your screen as he releases to the outside. Green's going to try and get up the field, but Andy Dalton makes a poor decision to try and fit this in. He throws the football right there. This ball's got to be all the way back here to give A.J. Green a shot at it. This way it's under. Jimmy Smith's the only guy with a chance at it. A.J. Green turns into a defensive back, and not a very good one.
2nd interception this season for Jimmy Smith. It's 2nd and 7. Flacco looking to throw, caught by Juszczyk, and Malaluga was right there to stuff him. It'll be 3rd down for Baltimore.
On your comments, Steve, you're 100% right. That's called a back pylon throw. Quarterbacks learn that from the time you play high school. Even Pop Warner football, throw it to the back pylon. That's where that ball has to go, especially when you're protecting a 14-point lead. You're in the red zone. That ball's where your guy can get it or nobody can get it. It's Andy Dalton's first interception of the year, but that was a bad decision. Bad throw.
Let's see if Baltimore can finally get something going on third downs. Just 2 for 7 today. Flacco over the middle, caught by Steve Smith. That's a big play. Flacco to Smith for 20 yards and a first down.
Well, it's not like the Bengals weren't watching him. You see there.
Great coverage.
They had 3 guys around him. A.J. Hawk following him back. Throws it right in. That's a tremendous throw by Flacco.
That's why you love Joe Flacco. He can make those throws. He's not afraid to pull the trigger.
The problem is he's got to make outstanding throws to get a completion against this Bengal defense.
Forsett. And he's tripped up by Domata Peko, but there is a flag down.
Holding number 72, offense. 10-yard penalty, still first down.
That goes against Osemele. Well, Steve Smith Sr. playing with a heavy heart this week. His longtime receivers coach in Carolina, Richard Williamson, died of a heart condition on Monday at the age of 74. Smith took to social media. He was with Richard for 9 seasons, and he said, and I didn't want to work when I was young in my career. Richard Williamson made me work. And Steve, you were with Richard Williamson in Carolina for a while as well.
I was, and I'll make a comment on that in just a second. We'll see what happens here in this first down play.
Flacco to Forsett, tackled at the 39-yard line.
So Richard Williamson, I think, deserves incredible amount of credit for the development of Steve Smith and Muhsin Muhammad and so many other great receivers over the years. He was an Alabama country guy that just had this raspy voice, and he told you the way it was, laid the law, but he loved you as well. And these players all were very loyal to him because of how loyal he was to them. An incredible man, an incredible coach, and he will be missed.
Over the middle, it's Steve Smith Sr. making the move across midfield into Cincinnati territory. 7th catch of the day for Smith. It goes for 12 yards.
You know, as you talk about Steve Smith and the guys who have affected his career, he's at the point of his career now where he said this is going to be his last one. But even now, he's a guy that when this team needs a play, they got to think. You don't think run, pass, or schemes or X and O. You think, what guy do I need to have the ball in his hands? And it's still, at this point in his career, it's Steve Smith Sr.
On 3rd and 3. Forsett, nowhere to go. Michael Johnson made some contact. Carlos Dunlap finished him off. And it's 4th down. And Sam Cook, the punter, is coming out for the Ravens. And now Harbaugh pulls him back off the field.
Well, this is a situation where you could justify going forward on fourth down, but I don't like the play calling here. Mark Trestman's an offensive coordinator I have a lot of respect for, but on these 3rd and shorts, they've been absolutely a step behind against Cincinnati, and they've had terrible success.
They're going for it on 4th and 5. 1 for 1 today on 4th downs. That was the fake punt. Baltimore 4 for 4 this season on 4th downs. Smith, the catch, makes a move, and he's got the first down. Still going down the sideline. Smith is dragged down. In, touchdown. What a play. A 50-yard touchdown.
Big is this play, and you're going to see the power and the will of Steve Smith right there. He's one of the most explosive players, has been in the NFL for the last 10 to 12 years, 13 years, I guess is what it is for him now, but he is so small, but he's so explosive and so strong, and his will is what makes it happen consistently time after time. When you need him to step up, he does. That was all Steve Smith.
That was an absolutely Hall of Fame play because of the moment. 4th down, you're down by 2 touchdowns on an 0-2 start to the season. You need somebody to be the guy to carry the team on his back, and Steve Smith
Should have been stopped short.
Should have been stopped short. Didn't. Put his hand on the ground. Again, puts his hand on the ground. Gets to the sideline. You can't say enough about that play and what Steve Smith brings to this team. That right there is what being a 15-year vet, a guy who was once as a wide receiver in the conversation for MVP of the league one year, that's what he means. I mean, that's at that moment to put the ball in his hands when he's already had a couple of catches on the drive. They know you're gonna look at him, and he does that.
Touchdown is confirmed in replay. It's the 49th 100-yard receiving game for Steve Smith and his 7th all-time. 8 catches, 118 yards, and Tucker's extra point is good.
And all of a sudden, with that one play, it is a brand new football game.
Big momentum change in this game, courtesy of Steve Smith Sr. The 50-yard touchdown catch on 4th and 5, and all of a sudden it's a 14-7 game with 6:23 to go in the 3rd quarter.
It's amazing how turnovers come back to haunt you like that. It gives the other team a lift, and then of course you can't coach what Steve Smith just did.
Tucker kicks it away, Tate back deep, it'll be a touchback. He's 36 years old, but Steve Smith Sr., he's got the heart of a champion. His team down by 7. This crowd has come to life. The Ravens trail by 7. Dalton's pass complete to A.J. Green on 1st down. We go down to Dana Jacobson.
You know, guys, we saw great leadership from Steve Smith on the defensive end. They're obviously missing their key leader, and Terrell Suggs out for the season with that Achilles injury. It's one of the things off the field that people probably didn't think about. Who's going to give that pregame speech in the locker room? We were told last week it was Chris Canty, and so far this week, mum's the word, although Dooms was recommended for it.
Dooms, Elvis Doomerville, of course, as Giovanni Bernard is taken down. It'll be 3rd down for Cincinnati. Brandon Williams really coming to life in this second half, another tackle.
And this is a situation now where the Cincinnati Bengals in a hostile environment are going to be challenged. Andy Dalton needs to make a play right here. A.J. Green at the bottom of your screen.
Bernard up the middle, nobody home. The Ravens defense with a big stand, and they force Cincinnati into a 3-and-out, which is the first time today the Bengals have gone 3-and-out.
Well, you look back at this game as you see this. Really, I think it's an ill-conceived play to go for it, to call on a 3rd and 3 against this defense in this moment with this momentum going on for Baltimore. You think back 2 red zone trips that come up empty for the Bengals. 1 touchdown, big play by Steve Smith, and all of a sudden it went from a blowout for Cincy to a 7-point game with Baltimore having momentum.
Huber to punt, Campanaro back deep for Baltimore. Good kick by Huber, driving Campanaro back to the 15-yard line. Gets past Josh Saw, has some room, and Campanaro up to the 35-yard line. A 20-yard return, Ravens down 7. Week 3 continues later today on CBS, and for some of you on Fox, and then tonight with Sunday Night Football on NBC. Tune in tomorrow for Monday Night Football on ESPN. Here in Baltimore, 4:25 to go, 3rd quarter. The Ravens trail 14-7 with Steve Berline, Steve Tasker, and Dana Jacobson. I'm Andrew Catalan. We thank you for joining us for Week 3 of the NFL on CBS. Flacco to Juszczyk. Gets a block, but it might have been an illegal block. There is a flag down at the 32-yard line.
Yeah, Carlos Dunlap was in pursuit of that, and Zutah came out and clipped him.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, blindside, high hit to the head, number 53, offense. 15-yard penalty, 1st down.
Wow, it's the first time I have ever seen that called on an offensive lineman on a defensive lineman.
Left of your screen, Zutah comes in to the head of Dunlap.
You can't do that outside the tackle box. Plus, you can't do it when you're coming back towards your own goal line. It's called a peel back block.
It's a rule change and a point of emphasis this year. That's going to be called more times than not. In fact, it should be called all time now.
So it's 1st and 25. Flacco to Forsett. Catch is made at the 24. And we're going to go back to New York. An NFL Today update with JB and Tony Gonzalez.
Andrew, this guy has been Mr. Durable.
Yeah, he has, JB. Mark Barron's going to come in here. He's going to get tripped up. Certainly nothing like a dirty hit, but it goes low on Ben Roethlisberger. He gets carted off the field. We're getting word now that he will not return for this game. Hopefully this is not a serious injury, but that's devastating for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Andrew, Steve, and Dana.
And guys, keep in mind, on Thursday night, a short week for the Steelers. They host Baltimore on CBS and NFL Network. Flacco has some time, dumps it down to Forsett, incomplete.
Not only that, Ben Roethlisberger is a big force in this division.
That changes.
These two teams are very interested in that injury and how it's going to affect. That'll have ripple effects all the way, not only through this division, but certainly it'll be felt in Pittsburgh's ability to get to the playoffs without a quarterback who's won 2 Super Bowls.
Well, let's wait and see what the injury is. But if it is legit, a significant injury, that changes the whole complexity of this division and the conference, the AFC.
When you think about Baltimore being able, if they could come back and win this game, all of a sudden with Ben Roethlisberger out, the division becomes within their grasp.
Well, now they have a 3rd and 21. That's a primary focus. Flag down. Nice catch by Marlon Brown. Right at the stick. But let's see what the flag is back at the 21-yard line. And Carlos Dunlap is saying it's against the Ravens.
There is no foul for holding on number 72. First down.
And Carlos Dunlap is wrong.
Well, they threw a flag for some reason.
Wow, what a great throw and catch right there. Marlon Brown, right as he's stepping out of bounds, that ball thrown right on the money, right at the sticks. That's very high-level execution. We haven't seen a lot of that today out of Baltimore, but it was a good time to show up.
Now they're going to take a good, hard look at the spot. And they may pull the sticks off to measure this right there.
Well, the near side of the field has not moved to change. The far side of the field has.
We'll see where the spot is and where it should be. He comes out, and that's just past the 45-yard line. And the thing you see, the little marker on the ground there is always put further than the chain so that the players always go to that marker. They know they're well past the chain. So that chain, the marker you see laying on the ground there as he went out of bounds is not accurate.
And it is a first down. Big conversion on 3rd and long. 3rd and 21. The Ravens come up with a 21-yard pass to Marlon Brown.
It's kind of interesting. You see they picked up a 3rd and 21. It kind of deflates your defense, but your defense got him in a 3rd and 21. You got to feel good about your defense. They've converted a 4th down play for a touchdown and a 3rd and 21, so your defense is still playing well.
Taliaferro in it, running back. He gets the carry here across the 45 to the 47-yard line. Just the 2nd carry today for Taliaferro, who's listed as questionable with a foot bruise.
Don't you agree with that, Steve? I mean,
yeah, I mean,
you kind of forget how well your defense is playing because Baltimore's done a couple of things.
Baltimore's starting to make a few plays now, no doubt about it. But they're in those situations, like you said, and Cincinnati has done a great job putting them in those situations. But you got to close the deal.
Yeah, but that is not a high percentage way to win a football game.
Flacco's gone to the air a lot here in the second half. Now to Taliaferro. Sidesteps one across the 50. And Taliaferro with a nice extra effort. It'll be short of a first down.
Well, again, this was very well defended, and this was a designed screen pass out to the left side. You can see right there, Taliaferro, it actually was just a little flare pass to him outside. Joe Flacco just kept giving ground. Taliaferro did a great job making 2 or 3 Bengals miss. They were in position to make that tackle.
And that's been a characteristic of this Cincinnati defense early in the season. First guy to the ball has made the tackle. When you stop doing that, your defense doesn't look so good all of a sudden.
3rd down and 3 for Baltimore. Inside 2 minutes to go, 3rd quarter. Flacco out of the shotgun. 2 on the play clock. Takes the snap. Pressure coming. Flacco steps up, fires a strike. Steve Smith with another catch. And first down for Baltimore. Taken down by Sean Williams after a gain of 21.
This play is made by Justin Forsett, who caught an all-out blitz coming from the right side. You're going to see Justin Forsett come across the formation and pick up that block right there that gives Joe Flacco the time to make an unbelievable throw to Steve Smith. But if Forsett isn't on every little detail of his assignment, he sleeps for 1 second, Joe Flacco is hit, that ball's coming out.
Baltimore goes to the ground. A flag is down on the run by Forsett.
Holding number 53, offense, 10-yard penalty.
It's on Jeremy Zutab. Well, let's go down to Dana Jacobson.
Guys, you just saw Steve Smith with that reception. Before he went out for that series, he was on the sideline, walked up to the garbage can, put a towel over his head. It was there for about 30 seconds. When he came up, some water in the mouth, spit it out, and headed back out. Not sure what happened, but you can guess.
Yeah, you don't have to guess.
We're pretty sure.
9 catches, 138 yards, and a touchdown for Steve Smith, senior, now in his 15th year, his final year. Penalty makes it 1st and 20. Flacco, screen, stuffed. Brandon Thompson, 4th-year man out of Clemson, was not fooled on that play.
Well, when you watch the Cincinnati defense, they are not fooled by much. Now, there are not many times where you're going to see guys running free down the field. They're always in position. They're always very assignment sound. Right there, a great example. That was a cute little screen pass. Thompson was not fooled at all.
And they just ran 5 new bodies onto the field into their front 7. A bunch of new pass rushers, fresh pass rushers, and a new package in the secondary. That's going to be spelled trouble for this offensive line.
Could be the final play of the 3rd quarter. Flacco looking deep, and it's incomplete. Aiken, the intended target. Adam Jones got a hand on that one.
Reggie Nelson couldn't get up to get this. It could have been an interception.
There's a flag down.
Forcible contact with the quarterback's head. 15-yard penalty. First down.
Wow, a killer penalty against the Bengals. Automatic first down to close out a wild 3rd quarter of the 4th quarter in Baltimore, and here's what happened on the final play of the 3rd quarter.
Chris Carter comes off the edge, and you'll watch. You can't see it at the end of this play right here, but Carter's rushing there against Hurst, and you'll see it from this other angle that we have. You'll see why they call the blow to the head. He reaches up and hits Joe Flacco right there in the jaw, and that's the penalty.
No doubt about it. And Joe Flacco in Baltimore got away with a couple of things there. One, that was a little bit of a careless throw in a triple coverage down the field, but to come out of it with a first down.
It should have been picked off. Reggie Nelson had his eye on it, and he jumped too soon. He didn't time the jump.
During the quarter break, Baltimore is exercising the option they have on a defensive foul in which time expires in a quarter to extend the quarter for 1 play.
Wow.
Please put
John Harbaugh wants to go back to the other side of the field.
Well, I think it's an extra play. He needs an extra play. It's an untimed down, and that's a smart thing to do. And it just shows you John Harbaugh's lights are on. He gets an extra play out of this game, in a game when he's trailing. This is a play that doesn't count. And at the end of the game, when you need that extra play, this may be the one that actually fits it in.
Exactly right. Defensive penalty on the last play of a quarter. It's a very, very, very astute decision by John Harbaugh.
So this is part of the 3rd quarter now. 1st and 10 from the 23-yard line.
This will be an untimed down, and then they'll just switch ends, and this series will continue as normal.
Aiken goes in motion on 1st and 10. Flacco gonna throw it back, and it's caught by Boyle, breaks a tackle, and pushed out by A.J. Hawk. 2nd catch of Nick Boyle's career. Adam Jones missed a tackle. And it goes for a gain of 13.
Well, Nick Boyle, 6'4", 270 pounds. That's a hard man for Adam Jones to bring down. Almost outweighed by 100 pounds.
So now the third quarter is officially over, and we'll go to the other side of the field for the final quarter. Cincinnati ahead 14-7. Ravens trying to avoid an 0-3 start. They have never been 0-3. Here's what's happened when the Ravens have started 0-2. They have missed the playoffs all 3 times. Best they did was 99 when they went on to finish 8-8. First time under John Harbaugh they've started 0-2.
And so many things become out of your control when you put yourselves in a hole like this. Arguably, you look at what's going on around the division, what Ben Roethlisberger is going to affect this division. Maybe that opens up things. Who knows? But the bottom line is you put yourself at a very big disadvantage.
First and goal to start the fourth quarter. Flacco to Smith. Steve Smith inside the 5, pushed out by A.J. Hawk.
We watched the Ravens run this play in practice on Friday. They couldn't get it right.
Here's Steve Smith right here. He's going to come in and loop around, and it's just him one-on-one with Adam Jones.
They could not get it right. They tried it a couple of times. Finally, and at the end of it, when they messed it up for the third time, Jim Harbaugh said, hey, everything's going to go perfect on game day. And they just left it alone. And here we see it today, and it did. It got him inside the 5.
Taliaferro in it, running back on second and goal. They give it to Taliaferro, pushing his way forward, and Taliaferro is taken down at the 2. And now we have an injured Raven, and that is Steve Smith Sr. You heard Dana Jacobson a short time ago report that he was a little shaken up on the sideline.
Yeah, he actually, well, let's say he got sick in the trash can, and now you can tell what they're doing there. It looks like he got a cramp. Yeah, that's classic. They're stretching his calf muscle out. We'll see if he can continue. Might need to go in and get an IV.
Third and goal when we come back. Steve Smith getting an IV on the sideline. He'll sit out this third and goal play.
Don't know if I've ever seen that before.
Not on the sideline.
Taliaferro next to Flacco. Flacco throws, caught by Campanaro, and a great tackle made by Leon Hall. The veteran with a big stop, and it's fourth and goal, and John Harbaugh is going to send out his kicker, Justin Tucker.
You got to earn every single inch against this defense. I mean, you really do. You cannot fool them.
Kamar Aiken is trying to get a block on Hall. He can't do it. Hall works off the block, gets up the field to tackle Campanaro. This is a great stand by Cincinnati. And there, let's face it, Cincinnati's reeling a little bit now. Baltimore's got all the momentum. They're right back in this football game. Going to go down by 4 points if this field goal is good. Things have really changed here after halftime.
A 21-yard attempt for Tucker, who has now made 34 in a row inside 50 yards. It's 14-10 in favor of the Bengals. Your weekend starts with Thursday Night Football when Joe Flacco and the Ravens take on the Steelers. Will they have Ben Roethlisberger? You heard James Brown say that he was carted off the field in St. Louis. Baltimore and Pittsburgh Thursday on CBS and NFL Network as we go down to Dana Jacobson.
All right, guys, you're talking about Steve Smith, who's behind me getting an IV right now. Before the end of the third quarter, he actually came to the sideline, took a knee, took some water, and said to the doctors on the sideline, I'm okay. But they started preparing the IV, so when he went down in the game, they were all set and ready to go for him. Back to you.
All right, Dana, 10 catches last week, 10 again this week for Steve Smith Sr. And John Harbaugh told him that has to be conscious of how often they use Steve Smith at 36 years of age. But what a day it's been. Hard to take him off the field.
Well, you look at what happened last year. Steve Smith came out of the blocks hot, one of the leading receivers in the NFL the first 8 weeks of the season. He did kind of disappear the second half, so they do have to be very conscious of that.
A touchback for Tucker.
It's also one of the issues you think about with this Raven team, their roster, some of their key players do have some miles, and they need, there's some young players on this roster that really have a lot of potential. Crockett Gilmore would be a great example of that, but also they need some of these young players to start stepping up and filling the void. You lose a Ray Lewis, you lose an Ed Reed, you lose a Terrell Suggs in this season. They've had great depth in the past, but now they need that depth to become front line, and it hasn't done it yet.
Cincinnati has 7 carries this half for 1 yard. Trying to get the ground game back on track. 13:27 to go. Jeremy Hill gets a couple, but it's been tough sledding against this Baltimore run defense in the second half. Back to New York, an NFL Today update with JB and Tony Gonzalez.
Atlanta has exploded.
Yeah, they were down 14 points at the beginning of this game, but they've come back in a big way. Devontae Freeman, a big reason for that. He takes from 7 yards out, 3 touchdowns on the day for him. Julio Jones also has 9 catches, 143 yards, 32-28. Atlanta over Dallas.
Andrew Catalan.
All right, guys, Atlanta trying to get to 3-0 on the year. 2nd and 7. Dalton out of the shotgun. Throws sideline. Jones makes the catch. Was he in? He was. Nice catch by Marvin Jones. That's his 4th of the game.
Yeah, he still had to come back a long way down the sideline to make this grab. It was going to be a first down, but the ball from Dalton brought him way back down the stem of this route. You see how far he has to come back down towards the football. He was past the first down marker, but it ended up only being a 5-yard gain.
3rd down and 2. Dalton steps away from Dumerville. He's going to keep it himself, dives forward, and depending on the spot, that appears to be good for a first down. It is.
Yeah, he just had to cross the 30. That is another great play by Andy Dalton. Good coverage by Baltimore up the field. Andy Dalton looks around, goes through his progressions, feels a little pressure, and he's more than athletic enough to go down there, and no slide there whatsoever. He's getting the first down. That's a gutsy play by Andy Dalton.
They're showing a replay on the video board, and the Ravens players encourage John Harbaugh to throw a challenge flag because it appears that Dalton's knee may have been down.
Well, his knee may have
reached out.
His knee may have been down, but I don't think he was touched. Knee's down there, but see there he's touched, and he's well past the 30. So this is a bad challenge.
Hunter was down by contact.
Jimmy Smith was the most animated Raven, imploring John Harbaugh to throw that red flag, which he did.
If it was a slide, if it was feet first, it would be where the knee hit. But he went head first.
Was met.
He can get up and run if nobody touches him. So that ball definitely is spotted in the right spot.
Yeah, they spotted it very close to the right spot, and it was well past the line. There's no way that this is going to be overturned. I think it's a bad challenge. It's going to cost them a timeout in a game they're trailing. I think that, they're in a comeback mode, no question. Their backs are against the wall, and they're desperate. But right here, this is where their emotions got the best of him a little bit. He's at the 31 at least for that first down, and that's well past the line.
Yeah, I think that spot's a little too generous, but I think it's a 31-yard line.
We're in Baltimore here, 4th quarter, 11:42 to go. Cincinnati jumped out to a 14-0 lead. Baltimore has scored 10 unanswered, and John Harbaugh is challenging the spot of this last 3rd down run by Andy Dalton. With Steve Berline, Steve Tasker, and Dana Jacobson, I'm Andrew Catalan, our entire NFL on CBS crew. First challenge this season by John Harbaugh, and if he's wrong, it'll cost him a timeout.
Now, here's the thing. They may respot this football back to the 31-yard line where we think, but it won't be past the line to gain, so they'll still lose their timeout.
Our officiating expert, Mike Carey, back in New York. Mike, what did you see on this play?
A number of things. First, we ignore the knee down because he's going head first. You also ignore the touch by the Baltimore player on his rag. That does not count. But then the hand touches on the calf. You freeze the play there where the ball is. It looks like right at the 31-yard line. They'll spot it there, and they'll see if that makes the first down.
As reviewing the play, the ruling on the field is confirmed. It is a first down. Quarterback going head first. and on the ground is not down. The ball is not dead until he's first touched by a defensive player, which was beyond the 30-yard line.
So John Harbaugh loses the challenge and loses a timeout in the process.
The ball should be spotted a little bit closer to the 31-yard line, though, I believe, if they're really trying to get this 100% correct.
You'll see there's his knees down there, and that's where it should be down. And that's,
it's a yard.
Yeah, it's a yard. But it does not change the first down.
Cincinnati now 8 of 12 converting third downs today. It's 1st and 10. Giovanni Bernard has some room up the middle. Bernard has a first down, but there is a flag back at the 27-yard line.
Holding number 61, offense. 10-yard penalty, still first down.
That's on the center, Russell Bodine, and that image right there, the flag on the ground, something we've seen a lot of today. There have now been 20 penalties in this game.
Right there, as you'll see it, right in the middle of the line, Bodine latched on to Brandon Williams. Williams could not get away. Anytime the offensive lineman gets his hands outside that framework, as you see there, 19 penalties.
Yeah, actually 19 penalties, 8 against the Bengals, 11 against the Ravens. 1st and 20. Dalton to Bernard. Trying to spin away from C.J. Mosley, but Mosley makes the stop. And now there's an injured Bengal behind the play. And that is Kevin Zeitler, the right guard out of Wisconsin. In some pain on the ground. We're back in a moment. Back in Baltimore, 10:50 to go. 2nd and 18 for the Bengals. Eric Winston in at right guard for the injured Kevin Zeitler. Dalton, screen pass is deflected and incomplete. Carl Davis got a hand on that one. It's 3rd and long for Cincinnati.
This play was set up very nice, and you're going to see Tyler Eifert right here at the top. He comes back on one of these screen passes. Again, it is set up perfectly, and they cannot get the ball completed to him. Andy Dalton's got to get that ball to him. You see all this green grass out here. That's a big gain if they can just complete that little pass. That's Dalton's responsibility to get that ball up and over. I don't care who's coming.
Zeitler is back in at right guard. Only missed one play. 3rd down and 18. And it looked like Eifert moved on the line.
So did Jones.
Start, number 85, offense. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
And now there's 20 penalties in the game after a false start against Eifert.
Right there, and so did Marvin Jones. Both those guys moved. Jones was disgusted with himself. Eifert knows he was wrong.
Well, guys, it was very quiet in here in the first half. Actually heard some boo birds from the home fans. Nothing quiet about the Raven crowd right now. And they're just going to run it with Giovanni Bernard. And here comes the punt team for Cincinnati with 10.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, Cincinnati hamstrung themselves with penalties on that drive. They made some plays but couldn't get out of their own way.
But I'm telling you, they would have picked up at least enough for the first down on that screen pass. It was there. It was the right call. There was there were 2 or 3 blockers downfield. They were in perfect position. That pass has got to be completed to pick up that first down.
3rd punt for Kevin Huber. Campanaro back deep for the Ravens. This one drives him back to the 23-yard line. Campanaro to the 30 and tackled at the 36-yard line. 9:57 to go. Flacco and the Ravens down by 4. Steve Smith Sr. needed an IV on the sideline on that last drive. He's back out for this drive. 1st and 10 with 9:57 to go in the 4th quarter. Justin Forsett wrapped up by Michael Johnson. Well, this is where the Bengals feel they have an advantage. They are so deep on the defensive line, and they rotate guys throughout the whole game. And we spoke with Carlos Dunlap last night at the Cincinnati Hotel, and he said, I feel so fresh in the fourth quarter because last year there were games where I had 80 snaps. This year, it's almost half of that, and let's see if it pays off here for the Bengals in the fourth quarter. Johnson coming, hits Flacco, it's incomplete. Michael Johnson applying pressure, and it's third down.
You know, Andrew, that is a great call because you talk about that. That's a huge point at this point of the ball game. You watch the right side of the screen there, coming off the edge, Michael Johnson. He's fresh. They have literally today, they've got 8 guys active that they're rotating in that front line, that front 4. Baltimore only has 5 guys, 5 defensive linemen active today. So that depth really pays off late in the ball game.
Yeah, that's been something that's hobbled them in years past, but with the rotation, these guys really are fresh.
On 3rd and 11, low snap. Flacco fires, incomplete. In the direction of Williams and Marlon Brown. And a good defensive stand there by Cincinnati. They force a 3-and-out.
I think you're 100% right, though, Andrew. That was a great call pointing that out because the freshness, the quarterback can sense that. Believe me, if they're coming faster, more speed around the edge, you can feel them coming, and that forces you to get rid of that ball a little quicker.
4th punt today for Sam Cook. Brandon Tate at the 18. Trying to get to the outside and taken down by Brendan Trowick. Replay every game of the 2015 season on demand with NFL Game Pass. Go to NFL.com/Game Pass to start your free trial. Cincinnati trying to get to 3-0 for the 3rd straight year, and in the process pull 3 games ahead of the Ravens in the division.
In this drive, look, this series, look for Cincinnati. If I'm the Bengals, I'm trying to stay on the field offensively, get first downs, whether run, pass, by hook or by crook. You've got to stay on the field offensively here for the Bengals.
9:04 to go. It's Bernard trying to use his speed up the middle and across the 25-yard line before Williams makes the tackle.
That was the best run they've had in this second half, and it was just a little nondescript right up between the tackles. They've got to continue that for the Bengals. They've got to keep their run game involved, even though here in the second half it's been almost non-existent. Still handing the football off really keeps that Baltimore defense at bay and keeps them from teeing off on Dalton.
Bernard got 4. It's 2nd and 6. Dalton, quick strike to A.J. Green for a first down. Tackle made from behind by Jimmy Smith, but a gain of 14 for A.J. Green.
And that's what we're going to see more of, I think, for the rest of the game out of Cincinnati. They're going to try and mix the run with the short pass. They're going to try and get it quick. They've got some it's very difficult for Baltimore to commit to stopping the run and expect one of their corners to cover A.J. Green one-on-one. He's a little bumped up right there, but I think he'll be back in. They're going to try and create the one-on-one matchups by staying committed to the running game.
Keep an eye on A.J. Green. His catch makes it 1st and 10. Back to the ground for Cincinnati. And Bernard on the carry. We've seen more of him than Jeremy Hill here in the second half. Hill had the 2 fumbles last week against the Chargers.
We spoke to Hill yesterday. He sat down and he acknowledged, he took full responsibility for those fumbles, but he said, you know what, mistakes happen in football, but it's how you respond to those mistakes that really make or break your career. And that was a really wise answer from a young football player. He knew that he had to bounce back from a bad week, fumbling 2 balls, and make up to his teammates, and certainly he is starting to do that today.
And that circle you just saw, A.J. Green back in the game at the bottom of your screen. Dalton pump fakes to Green. Now looking deep for Sanu, and it's broken up. Lardarius Webb got a hand on that one.
Well, this is a throw that Andy Dalton would like to have back. Is it good coverage by Lardarius Green? Sure. But if that ball is out front, if that ball is thrown where it's supposed to be thrown, Mohamed Sanu is open. That ball's got to be thrown out in this area, way up here, in front of everybody. Let your receiver have a chance to go get it over the top. There's no safety back there. He's got to make that throw.
3rd down and 7. 7:02 to go, fourth quarter. Dalton, he is sacked. Dumerville, ball out, picked up by Mosley. Mosley in a foot race. C.J. Mosley, touchdown, Baltimore. Touchdown for C.J. Mosley.
Comes off the backside. Elvis Dumerville comes off the backside. Mosley gets up, and Mosley, as we said earlier in the game, he's got elite linebacker speed. And with half a field to go, you're not going to get him. Even there, Bernard tries to go in and get him just before he gets in, has no shot at it. And you look back to the 3 points that the Bengals left on the field right at the end of halftime, trying to go for a fourth and short to get it in, and coming up with nothing. Those 3 points loom large right now.
Yeah. You think Marvin Lewis regrets not going for 3 right now? Or you have a tie ball game instead of now being in a position where you have to come from behind to win a game.
Elvis Dumerville had a quiet start to the season, only 4 tackles in the first 2 games. That's his first sack of the year, and it comes at a huge time. And for the first time this season, Cincinnati trails its opponent. 17 unanswered points for the Baltimore Ravens. They lead by 3. 2 hours ago, there were some boos here in Baltimore. Not anymore. Elvis Dumerville with his first sack of the season. Andy Dalton fumbled, and C.J. Mosley took it back for a touchdown. Baltimore with 17 unanswered points as they try to avoid an 0-3 start. Justin Tucker will kick it away. Brandon Tate back deep for the Bengals. And another touchback for Tucker as we go back to the touchdown.
Well, here is Elvis Dumerville off the edge. He's going to run straight up off the edge. We're going to talk about the whole thing. Let's let it run for a second here and see why Andy Dalton had nowhere to go with this football. He has 3 receivers going out, which means he's got 8 guys blocking. Those guys are all covered right there. Andy Dalton's got to protect the football, but the protection on the outside was the key. Elvis Dumerville, the best pass rusher for the Baltimore Ravens, was one-on-one on a tight end.
Yeah, Tyler Eifert was trying to block Elvis Dumerville. Now, granted, the ball should have been out before it was in a normal situation, but the coverage made the fact you got that matchup. Elvis Dumerville couldn't finally got home.
There's an injured Raven in the end zone, and that appears to be Nick Boyle, the tight end out of Delaware. It is, and he is helped off the field, injured on that special teams play.
On the touchback of the kickoff.
Boyle, who today has 2 catches, the first 2 catches of his career. Big day for the Blue Hens of Delaware, as Flacco of Delaware was able to hook up with Boyle, who was a 5th-round pick out of Delaware this year. First NFL injury, he gets hurt on a touchback.
Well, I think it's just too much to ask your tight end to block the best pass rusher. One-on-one, you got 8 blockers in there.
Yeah, there's 7 protecting Dalton, and you see right there. I mean, it gets him to run deep, but now the ball's got to be gone. There's no way you're going to expect him to hold him off.
It's a bad protection to have had called, and they paid the price. Andy Dalton's got to protect the ball, though.
Let's see how Cincinnati does playing from behind. First time this season they've trailed in a ball game, and they're scoreless in the last 35 minutes here today. Dalton throws. A.J. Green at the 50. Green off to the races. Green still going. A.J. Green at the 5. Touchdown, Cincinnati. 80 yards. What an answer by Dalton and the Bengals.
Wow.
Oh, what a great play.
How about that?
protection was solid. Dalton's got the nice pocket, a little bit of pressure, but puts an absolute strike on A.J. Green up the seam, and then pure guts and will from A.J. Green to finish that thing up, get in the end zone.
I'll tell you, generally speaking about the Bengals, that's the kind of play they have lacked in the last 4 years. They didn't have a guy that would step up and say, you're not going to win this game. We're not going to lay down. The Bengals have a reputation for being front runners, not very good when the chips are down. That right there says just the opposite.
Nugent for the extra point, and it's good. A.J. Green, 9 catches, 220 yards. His career high is 224. How about this? Cincinnati didn't trail for the first 173 minutes of the season. They trailed for 8 seconds, and now they're back in front. As we look at our game summary, what's been a wild day here in Baltimore. Andy Dalton got the Bengals on the board first with this rushing touchdown. Joe Flacco with an interception, a bad throw by Flacco, picked off by Adam Jones. It led to this touchdown from Dalton to Marvin Jones, 14-0 Cincinnati. But on 4th and 5, Flacco to Steve Smith Sr. for a 50-yard touchdown. That made it 14-7. And then moments ago, C.J. Mosley scooped up the loose ball to give Baltimore the lead. However, what an answer here as we go back to the touchdown.
Just a seam route. Everybody go deep right down. You send 2 guys down the numbers, 2 guys down the sidelines. Dalton picks the best matchup, and A.J. Green is always a good choice.
A.J. Green in his last 3 games against Baltimore has averaged 114 yards, giving John Harbaugh nightmares. And today, 9 catches, 220 yards for the 5th-year man out of Georgia. Andy Dalton over 300 yards passing now. 303 on the day for Dalton. And now let's see if Joe Flacco and the Ravens can respond. Again, in danger of falling to 0-3 for the first time in franchise history. Campanaro tackled at the 20.
Well, you're going to see a few things when you look back at this touchdown. Here's A.J. Green right here in the slot. All he's going to do is run straight up. Oops, excuse me. There's going to run straight up the numbers right past the corner, which is Kendrick Lewis actually have to cover him. But the safety in the middle of the field, Will Hill, is the one that has to be over there to make that play, because that ball is being thrown right here, and it is on the money. Perfectly thrown by Andy Dalton. The timing was there, the call was there. What a great play.
Flacco on 1st and 10. Fires over the middle, and it's caught. Max Williams, the rookie tight end, close to midfield, a gain of 27.
And we're seeing now in the second half, I mean, the first half was dominated by Cincinnati, but now you see the division familiarity with both of these teams come out. Neither team is getting fooled, but they're getting the matchups they want, and you got guys now with both defenses playing hard, trying to make some things happen. They're leaving some gaps in the secondary.
Flacco in trouble and throws it away. It was Carlos Dunlap coming with the pressure. Cincinnati wants intentional grounding.
They might get it.
They're talking it over. This ball has to make it past the line of scrimmage. When Joe Flacco lets it go, you see Dunlap trying to get it. I don't know if it does or not.
It's intentional grounding, number 5 offense. 10-yard penalty, loss of down, 2nd down.
Not only does it need to be to the line of scrimmage, there's got to be a receiver in the area. Well, he was doing it to avoid the sack. There was nobody in the area.
Yeah, no question. You could always make a case that there's one of those guys down there. Steve Smith was raising his hands inside the shield at the end of this play. But as he retreats from Dunlop, tries to get rid of it, he's throwing it the other direction, and there you see Forsett was down, but he was to the right of the shield. Flacco threw it to the other side, and that's a good call by the official.
Baltimore over 100 yards in penalties. Steve Smith Sr. makes the catch here. That's his 11th of the ball game. But it'll be 3rd down for Baltimore.
This play right here is indicative of this second half. The Bengals have played good defense. They got them now in a 3rd and 11, but the difference has been Baltimore has found a way to stay on the football field on 3rd and long. They've converted a couple, and they've got a couple by penalty. Now look for Joe Flacco now to be in the shotgun. He's going to find a guy. I think if you're the Ravens and how they've done it, they're going to throw a short pass and try to get the guy to run for the first down.
3rd down and 11. Flacco back to his main target. Smith breaks the tackle and picks up the first down. 12th catch today for Steve Smith Sr.
There is nothing that frustrates a defense more than to be in position to make the play. Right there, it's Leon Hall. You forget how strong one of the smallest guys on the field is, though. The explosiveness of Steve Smith and the size of his heart always ends up making good things happen.
What an incredible 2 weeks for Steve Smith Sr. Coming off the big game last week in Oakland. Another one today. He gets a breather on first down, and Marlon Brown dropped the pass.
This is one of the things about Baltimore. You got a guy like Steve Smith, you got Joe Flacco, you've got these veteran guys who are trying to make plays, and you got these young guys coming up. They're not there yet. And at some point, they're depending on these young men. Now, the tight ends for the young tight ends for Baltimore have come through pretty well, but these young wide receivers have not.
Check, three jet. Hurry, get on.
Flacco facing pressure, and that pass they're saying is complete to Justin Forsett.
Wow, that was a desperation. I did saved by 2 yards.
You'd rather not have that thing completed. You'd rather have it back at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, if he would have been, Forsett should have batted this to the ground.
Yeah, that was a combination of things. Right there, you saw Rick Wagner get beat, but Joe Flacco missed the blitz, I believe.
Well, if this ball hits the ground, you might want to.
Looked like he picked it up off his shoe.
Picked it up off his shoe. If that ball hits the ground, Baltimore might review it so that they can get an incomplete pass and get the ball back up at the line of scrimmage.
That's the right call.
Right now, a loss of 7. If it's incomplete, it would be 3rd and 10 as opposed to 3rd and 17.
It's not very often you see your own team challenge a completed pass.
Ruling on the field of a completed pass behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, they don't want this pass to be completed, and that's weird.
This was the right call.
It's the right call.
Right.
Once again, John Harbaugh shows he's thinking, and this is a great challenge for him because you're hoping that we've got a shot that this ball hits the ground with Forsett right there.
Well, let's see if it's a great challenge, because if he's wrong, he's now lost 2 challenges this half. He'd only have 1 timeout left the rest of the way.
I'm just saying, if we show clearly that the ball hits the ground, it's a correct challenge. I thought we had a clear angle of it, but we made.
Oh yeah,
that ball hits the ground.
That ball hits the ground.
So it is a correct challenge. The question is, can we establish that indisputably?
Let's take a look right here. Right there, the ball is on the ground, and he scoops it up. That is an incomplete pass. Great challenge by Harbaugh. They'll turn this into a 3rd and 10 rather than a 3rd and 16. And that's crucial. You got to do it. John Harbaugh has done a couple of things today as head coach that have really been sharp. One, the play at the end of the 3rd quarter where they got an untimed down on a defensive penalty was one. The fake punt was another, although it didn't turn into a great thing. It was also the right play, and they made the first down. And now here, he does the challenge. Now, they did have a silly challenge earlier when their emotions got the best of them on the scramble by Andy Dalton. But this is a good challenge.
4:02 to go. Baltimore, the only active team never to start the season 0-3. Joe Flacco told us on Friday that he dislikes the Bengals more than the Pittsburgh Steelers. Said we shouldn't be losing to them. We need to play our game and beat them. And he got that edge.
After reviewing the play, the ball hit the ground. The pass is incomplete. It'll be 3rd and 10 at the 36-yard line. Please put 4:44 on the game clock. Baltimore is not charged with a timeout for this challenge. However, because of the earlier unsuccessful challenge, Baltimore is out of challenges for the remainder of the game.
Which won't matter after 2 minutes and 34 seconds because you can't challenge inside 2 minutes anyway. So a big win there for Harbaugh. Still has the 2 timeouts, but it doesn't change the fact that Flacco and the Ravens still face 3rd down and 10 right here.
Now, once again, they have thrown the short pass, tried to break a tackle with Steve Smith to get the first down. You got to think the Bengals are thinking that as well. Get the short pass, but make the tackle.
Flacco fires, Campanaro Michael Campanaro with his first catch of the day.
There's one of the young guys coming through for Joe Flacco on the top of your screen, coming underneath the clearing out route of Aiken. Catches it, two hands on the ball, and fights for the first down on the linebacker.
Nice throw and catch. And that was 4-down territory, though, as well. So if they did come up a little bit short, they were going to go for it on 4th down.
Clock is running, 4:10 to go. Play action. Flacco, screen to Williams, the tight end, at the 20, and fighting for extra yardage. Max Williams, the second-round pick out of Minnesota.
Well, this is one play where Max Williams is right here on the end of the line of scrimmage. They do a great job with the play action fake hard to the right side, and good execution. This is one time they actually fooled the Cincinnati Bengals. You see the great job by Flacco getting the ball over the top, out in the open space. Great play.
Gain of 9, so it's 2nd and 1. Flacco looking for Smith. Got it! Touchdown, Baltimore!
Wow, there was some contact in the end zone. There's no flag, though. And that was another spot where you go to the guy that you can count on, and that's Steve Smith. You'll see, watch as they get tangled up. They're both pushing and shoving, no call, which is unbelievable in a game with 20 penalties. And Steve Smith Sr. makes the catch.
Well, Cincinnati's crying foul, and Baltimore's saying, no way, incidental, doesn't matter. But there are sometimes that's going to be called, and that's the frustrating part to these coaches. The consistency of the call is very, very hard to explain.
Justin Tucker on for the extra point, and it's good. Steve Smith Sr., 36 years old. He has 13 catches for 186 yards and 2 touchdowns. And we told you earlier that his longtime wide receivers coach in Carolina, Richard Williamson, died this week of a heart condition at the age of 74. He meant a lot to Steve Smith in his career, and wow, is Smith having a big ball game today.
There's the matchup at the top of the screen. There's really nothing to it. Both these players run down the sideline like they've done 100 times before, and they both just start grabbing each other, and the ball is right at the pylon to the back shoulder of Steve Smith. And if Kirkpatrick looks back at it, maybe he could have swiped it away. But it's hard to do that when you're guarding Steve. You're not going to take your eyes off him.
And that's a throw that is worked on as much as any throw in the NFL for quarterbacks and receivers. That back shoulder throw, it's not called very often because you don't know what kind of coverage you're going to get. The receiver and the quarterback have to both adjust at the same time properly. Look at those numbers. Wow. That's some big fantasy numbers right there. Both of those guys are putting up and coming through for their teams, more importantly.
Who's going to have the last laugh, though? That's the big question. Is it going to be A.J. Green or Steve Smith Sr.?
Plenty of time on the clock.
It was A.J. Green a moment ago. Steve Smith answered him with that touchdown right there. And now with 2:41 or 3:56 to go, A.J. Green's going to get a chance.
And another touchback for Justin Tucker. Now, these two teams have played a couple of wild games in Baltimore recently. 2 years ago, A.J. Green caught a miracle Hail Mary to send the game to overtime. But in OT, Justin Tucker won it for the Ravens 20-17. And in the season opener last year, A.J. Green again caught a bomb from Andy Dalton, this time for 77 yards as the Bengals won 23-16. Joe Flacco 13-1 in September home games. The only loss was here last year to the Bengals. What a great rivalry here in the AFC North. And now Cincinnati down by 3. Dalton fires sideline. A.J. Green out of bounds. Incomplete. An NFL Today update in New York. Here's JB and Tony Gonzalez.
Tony, take a look at this two-point conversion attempt.
Yeah, that's Dawson Fowler right there. He goes up there. There's nothing there. He's just trying to make a play at this point. They're going to swarm. They're going to stop him. They missed the two-point conversion. Indy looks like they're going to take this one 35-33. Still got 47 seconds left, though.
Anything can happen. All right, back to Andrew Catalan.
All right, guys, 3:50 to go here. It's 2nd and 10 for Cincinnati. Dalton steps up to elude the rush, now throws on the run. It's caught by Bernard. Giovanni Bernard down the sideline and finally stepped out of bounds. A gain of 23. And that quiets the crowd momentarily here in Baltimore.
Oftentimes you forget about what a good athlete Andy Dalton is. He's made a couple of nice runs today, but look at his presence and his poise in the pocket. He feels pressure, steps right, moves left, feels a defender coming to him, and has the ability to deliver a strike on the outside for a nice gain to Giovanni Bernard.
Cincinnati has all 3 timeouts remaining. 3:38 to go. Dalton to Sanu, makes the catch at the 47 and finds some room into Baltimore territory before Darryl Smith brought him down. A gain of 19.
And I think right now with that gain of 19, you're going to go pace. They're going to go no huddle and keep the pressure on this defense for the Ravens. You want to get that pass rush and take the starch right out of it. These guys have got their hands on their hips. They're tired. Keep after them and keep throwing the football.
Dalton looking deep for Jones. What a catch! Jones inside the 10. Marvin Jones using his 6'2" frame to go up and get that one. A pickup of 31.
Well, he's right over the top of Kyle Arrington. And what can you say about the guy stepping up and making plays? Quarterbacks making throws, receivers making catches against good coverage.
Yeah,
this is super play.
These are playmakers we have not seen the Cincinnati Bengals put on the field. Now, A.J. Green's been there, but when it's been crunch time, the Bengals have been notoriously crumblers. Now, they're getting it done, and getting it done consistently.
Dalton's career high is 381 yards. He's at 376 on first and goal. Bernard taken down by Lawrence Guy, and a timeout is called for by John Harbaugh. So the Ravens have 1 timeout remaining with 2:16 to go and the 2-minute warning. Harbaugh wants to try to preserve as much time as possible to get the ball back to his offense.
He's begging for 5 more seconds, too. He doesn't think the timeout was called quick enough.
Once again, working every angle, John Harbaugh. This is also a point now in the red zone where the Bengals came up completely empty a couple of times today. Once at the end of the first half when they went for it on 4th down. Another interception by Andy Dalton in the corner of the end zone trying to get it to A.J. Green and couldn't get it done. They've got to make good, obviously, on this red zone trip. This is their last chance to win this football game. But they are already in a position to tie it. There's what's at stake for the Ravens. They have not been 0-3 in their team's history, and nobody has played in a Super Bowl.
Last team to go 0-3 and make the playoffs, the 1998 Buffalo Bills. 2:16 to go, it's 2nd and goal.
Tyler Eifert right here, man-to-man. They were he's calling him back in. That was a matchup they didn't like.
3 on the play clock. Dalton out of the shotgun. Fires for the end zone to Green, and he's got it. Touchdown, Cincinnati. The 2nd of the day for A.J. Green.
Wow, the Cincinnati Bengals have answered, and answered again. What a game for A.J. Green and Andy Dalton.
Right on the money.
On that play, A.J. Green set a new career high with 227 yards, and Andy Dalton on that play set a new career high with 383 yards passing.
You cannot make enough of what has happened. Both sides today. This one team answers, the other one answers back. And the worst thing for Cincinnati right now is that Baltimore still has 2 minutes and 10 seconds left.
Critical extra point to force the Ravens to score a touchdown, and Nugent is true. Baltimore has 1 timeout left and the 2-minute warning. What an incredible game here in Baltimore today. Cincinnati jumped out to a 14-0 lead. Baltimore responded with 17 straight points, but it's been back and forth ever since in this 4th quarter. And now Joe Flacco will hope to get the last laugh as Baltimore tries to avoid an 0-3 start.
There you see Mark Trestman talking with Joe Flacco, trying to plot what they can go to in that vast playbook that Cincinnati hasn't already seen, or will it give them the best chance to be successful?
Mark Trestman, the fourth offensive coordinator that Joe Flacco has worked with over the last 2 years. I mean, you start back with the Super Bowl with Cam Cameron, then of course last year with Gary Kubiak, Kubiak was a run game guy. Trestman is a passing game guy. We'll see. They're going to throw the football here, but here you go.
There have been 4 touchdowns in the last 4 minutes and 39 seconds. Cincinnati led 14-0 at the half. Andy Dalton finally threw his first interception and also fumbled. But credit to the Cincinnati offense led by Dalton with 383 yards passing to put the Bengals back in front as they try to get to 3-0 for the second straight year. It will be a touchback, so Baltimore will start this drive at the 20. They have to go 80 yards with 1 timeout and the 2-minute warning.
Plenty of time here for Joe Flacco and company to get after it. And of course, you want to make yards in chunks if you can, but there is no pressure to try and force the ball up the field right now. You got all kinds of time.
Yeah, well, all kinds of time, but you don't have all kinds of timeouts. You've got 1 timeout and the 2-minute warning. You're going to have, I think you go no huddle. And at this point, of course, the run game is still a factor, but you're going to have to throw the football with Joe Flacco.
Flacco over the middle, and that pass is caught by Max Williams, and that will take us to the 2-minute warning. Can Baltimore avoid an 0-3 start for the first time in franchise history? 2 minutes to go. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Bengals lead by 4. 2 minutes to go here in Baltimore. Dalton on Flacco on 2nd and 3, and that pass not able to be reeled in by Steve Smith. Ravens the only active team never to start 0-3. The last 0-3 team to make the playoffs, the '98 Bills, when Joe Flacco was in 8th grade. Critical 3rd down here for Baltimore, although clearly 4-down territory. 1 timeout left for the Ravens. Flacco, incomplete. Steve Smith Sr. had a step on Reggie Nelson, not able to connect with Flacco, and it's 4th and 3.
Now that's a throw that Joe Flacco has to make. I mean, he was under pressure. Cincinnati was bringing it with those fresh defensive linemen, but Steve Smith did have a step. Joe Flacco's patient and good enough to make that throw.
Well, we've seen it all day. If Joe Flacco is backing up and doesn't set his feet, or is in any way has to do it in a weird motion or just flip it, he struggles to deliver it.
Ravens 5 for 5 on 4th downs this year. Pressure coming. Flacco to Smith. There is a flag down back at the line of scrimmage. If it's against the Bengals, it'll go for a 1st down.
Personal foul, grabbing the face mask, number 72, offense. Half the distance to the goal, still 4th down.
Against Kelechi Osemele.
Right there. Right here. Right there. Grabbing Vincent Ray's.
He spreads both of his arms. There it is right there. You see the right hand inside on Osemele. That's where he was trying to block 2 guys, got himself overextended, and the one on the right there was Vincent Ray. Vinny Ray right there. You see the face mask right in the inside there.
So it's 4th and 17. Flacco buys some time. Has Marlon Brown streaking down the field, instead throws for Williams, and it's incomplete. On the near side of the field, Marlon Brown had a step, but Flacco was rolling right away from Marlon Brown, tried to find Max Williams, and Cincinnati takes over with 1:35 to go.
And that is going to do it, as Cincinnati will be able to kneel down on this with just 1 timeout for Baltimore. Flacco does a nice job trying to extend this play, but obviously this is their last gasp effort. You got to get the 1st down. You got to complete this football.
And you saw Flacco looking to his left. He was looking at Marlon Brown, but running away from him. Brown on the bottom of your screen. Calling for it right there.
And I think what you're saying
there, and Steve Smith was breaking open across the middle. Joe Flacco just didn't take the time. When he bought the time, he didn't take the time to find the guy and just make sure he completed the pass. He tried to hit the home run, and it was the wrong decision.
Yeah, I think the safeties for Cincinnati as well were thinking that Joe Flacco moving to his right is not going to be able to get the ball back across the field outside to Marlon Brown. You see there's a safety at top of the screen still too. We can't see him and he's out of the screen, but he was inside. Marlon Brown was open, but that's a throw that I don't know if even Joe Flacco can make it.
So in the end, with the Ravens call for 13 penalties for 116 yards, it's a penalty that essentially ends up losing them the game. The penalty on Osemele wiped out the first down completion to Steve Smith. And John Harbaugh has used his final timeout with 53 seconds to go.
And the frustration and the devastation of an 0-3 start, you can see it written right on John Harbaugh's face. Not that it's over yet, but it pretty much is, all things considered. But a situation they've never been in here in Baltimore before. What can you say about the Cincinnati Bengals? Marvin Lewis and that football team going to 3-0. Fantastic job fighting their way back in after trailing for the first time this season. They came back and answered big a couple of times. A.J. Green from Andy Dalton. Huge on the part of Bengals players and coaching staff.
Yeah, it's almost the point now for the Cincinnati Bengals. They're playing so good so early in the season. You almost think that how can they keep it up for 15 more weeks or 14 more weeks?
Not over yet. Baltimore now out of timeouts.
Most of the Raven faithful believing it is pretty much over now. But you're 100% right, Andrew. Crazier things have happened.
Dalton will hand off to Bernard. Bernard inside the 10, and now it's 4th down.
And then,
so if you're Marvin Lewis, do you kick the field goal, or you just try to run out the clock on 4th down?
Well, there's going to be, what,
7 seconds.
6 or 7 seconds left. Yeah, I think you don't risk the possibility of something bad happening on the kick, a block, a missed snap, and going the other way. I think you just have your quarterback kill as much time as you can and get down.
Well, on 4th down, I mean, you've got, these are special situations that happen about 1 in every 200 games where you've got that difference, where you've got 6 seconds you're trying to kill. Usually, you don't even mind taking the safety here. You have Andy Dalton take it and run away from the defense for 6 seconds, or a running back take it, run away from the defense for 6 seconds, then run out of bounds down the field. You could do that as well.
Yeah, I just don't know if they risk an exchange of any sort.
Yeah, I don't think you do that.
Snap. I think Andy Dalton would buy as much time as he can, hopefully run out 6 seconds, and if he can't, Baltimore's got to throw a touchdown pass from 80 yards away.
Right, and well, plus you want to protect Dalton as well. You don't want to have,
he's not going to take a hit.
The Ravens, come in and take a free shot at a quarterback who's just trying to stand there and kill time. So it'll be interesting to see how they do this.
The Ravens next, Chicago and Seattle, or Buffalo at Miami. Going to give it to Bernard, and Giovanni Bernard still turning his legs. Tackle made, and the clock hits 0.
There we go.
Cincinnati hands the Ravens their 3rd straight loss. First time in franchise history that Baltimore has started the season 0-3. And now a short week for the Ravens. They'll take on the Steelers on Thursday Night Football. How about Cincinnati 3-0 for the 2nd straight year? Coming up next, it's Chicago or Seattle, or Buffalo against Miami. For Steve Tasker, Steve Berline, Dana Jacobson, this is Andrew Catalon saying so long from Baltimore. You have been watching the NFL on CBS, your home for Super Bowl 50.